Select the Sila Shalom on the ones and twos. You know how we do. Peace to the righteous gods and goddesses. Y'all caught me in the middle of building my spliff, you know. Catch me in the middle of building I spliff, you know. Yeah, family. How y'all doing today? Peace to the righteous gods and goddesses. I see the family starting to chime in, yeah? I see the family chiming in. You know what I mean? But before we get started, like always, make sure you get your bitters.
Bitter Sweet Herbals. What it tastes is bitter, but the results are sweet. BitterSweetHerbals.com.
Run the rhythm.
Bitter Sweet Herbals. What it tastes is bitter, but the results are sweet. BitterSweetHerbals.com.
Yes, family, make sure to get your bitters. You're done, though. You're done, though. So y'all see the topic? Y'all see the topic? What's the topic? Curse be Canaan and the Hebrew language. Matter of fact, give me a 1 in the chat if you can hear me clearly. If my mic sounding good. Does my mic sound nice? Check 1. You know what I mean? Make sure my mic's sounding nice before we indulge in this. Spliffer thing. All right. Iman, see you. What's good, family? I see the elder sister in the chime in, yeah? You know what I mean? Elizabeth Weaver, I see you, sister. Sent them pills out early this week. Hopefully they done reached and landed. If not, they definitely in transit. Who else will chime in? Danielle Brown, peace. I see you, peace. Who else will chime into the hydrant? Elijah 7, always in the building. Peace to the righteous God. You know what I mean? For the sons and daughters of the Creator. Lucy, I see you. Sophie, I see you. Peace to the righteous goddess. Sophie in the building. You know what I mean? I know. But if I'm building spliff before we get started, you know how I do. You know what I mean? That should be funny how niggas that try to use, Sila, man, he be smoking weed and shit, man. Sit your ass down somewhere, boy. You know what I mean? We talking about the herbal essence. Who else we got coming in? Let me lift the rhythm. light my spliffer thing right before the world, you know. While the world is in war, I need some of the herbal peace. You know what I mean? What y'all just said? I want you to change from a carnivorous man of contention to an herbivorous man of peace. So we bring peace over here. I know y'all been keeping up with the Israeli war and all that, Palestine war. It's interesting because, you know what I mean, they got clips on YouTube showing like the Israelis, like, you know what I mean, they cheering, they singing songs and singing prayers to their God and all that, and going in battle. So, you know, it's interesting because in the ancient times, when Israel went to war, God was speaking to these niggas like verification, like, yeah, nigga, I'm talking to you. This is your Lord God, boom, boom, boom. But today, they're not sure if their God is calling on them or if their God is even listening to them, because ain't nobody communicating with God. Ain't nobody in the land of Israel say, yo, the Lord came to me and said, this is what we're going to do. Ain't nobody doing that. God has been silent for 2,000 years in the Bible. The last time God spoke in the Bible was with Jesus Christ. That's it. Because all the disciples after that got the words of Christ, the Holy Spirit, right? But God been silent for 2,000 years. So you have these Israelis worshiping the God of Israel, not knowing if the God of Israel is even acknowledging their prayers. Now, according to Oahspe, the creator does not condone warfare. He'll allow it to go on because we have liberty to do certain things. Thou shalt not murder and kill, but you have liberty to go out there and kill. And there's a consequence and a responsibility to that you got to clean up as the individual. So all this bloodshed going on in Palestine and Israel, the governments are in charge. And in return, the false gods who are ruling over these governments spiritually are in charge of that burden. You dig? Conscious flow is here. Messiah. You coming out tomorrow? You know we're going to be out there at the Handlebar doing casting and calls for season 2.1. Or 2.1, I should say, yeah. Bronze Yogi, I see you. Stephen, I see you. I see the righteous gods chiming in. On the lookout. I see you. I see the fam chiming in. But yeah, I see what the title is, right? What's the title? Where that? Cursed be Canaan and the Hebrew language. Now, it's interesting because when you do the research on the language and you see where it's rooted in, it's like, That's like saying, we speak English and we talking about English as the chosen language, but then we read in the Bible that God is like, nah, we curse the English people. Why would you uphold the language that is considered a cursed people's language? We gonna get into it. You coming true? I ain't no doubt. I see you. You know what I mean? About to get into it. Let's get into it. Matter of fact, before we get into it, let me turn this TV down over there so it don't interrupt. It's a blood clot vibes. Now let me share my screen. Let's get into this lecture. Let's get into this. Let's get into blood clot this. Shout out to my West Indian family. You know what I mean? Peace to the righteous gods. I see you. Shout out Malachi Maccabee in the building. I see the God. I see you, King. As I burn my spliffer ting. I didn't even know you was out there. I draw down the blood clots, you know. All right, so check it. Let's share my screen. All right. Over here vibing out. Who?
You got the store.
What's that?
Some papers.
Ooh. Oh, great. I don't know what you're going to roll that in. All right, here we go. Let's get to it. You ain't using ma'am over here.
I wasn't never going to stop.
All right, let's get into it. Well, if you got some rolling papers thinking you want to roll them out with you. Psych! All right, let's get into a family. So what do we see here? What do we see? Curse be Canaan and the Hebrew language, right? Now, what does the word Hebrew mean? The biblical term Avri, Hebrew pronunciation, meaning to transverse or to pass over. See that? As you can see, the word Hebrew has nothing to do with the language, nor does it have to do with the nationality based off the definition. Any nationality can be a Hebrew because any nationality can transverse or pass over. Now, when is the term Hebrew first used in the Bible? Now, when we go to Genesis chapter 14, 13, and there came one that had escaped and told Abram the Hebrew, for he dwelt in the plains of Mamre, the Amorite, brother of Eshcol, and brother of Aner. And these were confederate with Abram. So right here, they're letting you know that this is the first time we see the term Hebrew used. And it's used as Abram the Hebrew. Now, the Strong's Concordance for Hebrew is H5680. Let's see what it said. Lexicon. Ibri, right? What does it mean? One from beyond. One from beyond. It ain't saying nothing about a language. It ain't saying nothing about a nationality. So when it says Abraham the Hebrew, it's saying Abraham, one from beyond. From beyond where? Abraham is from the land of Ur of Chaldea, Lower Mesopotamia. For those who from the biblical narrative, because for those who study Oahspe, we have a different narrative where Abraham was born. We claim he was born in the north and sojourned south into Canaan, compared to coming from Ur of Chaldea and coming, because there is an Ur in the north as well as there's an Ur in the south. But that's another topic. I'll let Brother Louis Lucci come on one time and he'll drop some knowledge on that. So now, the term Hebrew means one who was beyond. So Abraham is one who was beyond. We ain't come across no language. We ain't associate the definition of Hebrew with the language yet. So when we talk about the Hebrew language, that's incorrect, because the word Hebrew is not a language. It's a verb action, meaning one who crosses over. See, we show the evidence. Look at the definition of the word Hebrew. It ain't got nothing to do with no language. It don't say nothing about language nowhere. It says Hebrew equal one from beyond. Didn't it say Hebrew equal language? So why do we say the Hebrew language? We have adopted it. But when you get deep into it, not even deep into it, when you just study the etymology of the words, period, that's when you're going to see, like, wait a minute, why are we saying? So basically, Hebrew language meaning the language from beyond. If you want to get technical, what is the language from beyond if that's the case? Because Abraham, he couldn't have spoke what you consider the Hebrew language. Now, this is another term that Israelites try to use to reference Hebrew. in Genesis chapter 10, verse 24. And Arphaxad begot Salah, and Salah begot Eber. Now with his hair, they'll try to use that this is Eber, and they'll try to say that, oh, this is where the Hebrew language comes from, Eber. But no. You know, when Salah had Eber, what language was Salah speaking then, if that's the case? If Eber started the Hebrew language, what language was his father speaking? See that? See how easily you could get cut? If you think that Eber started the Hebrew language? But what does Eber mean? A lot of people like to say Eber is where Hebrew comes from. Here's the word Eber. And what does it mean? Region beyond or across. Region across or beyond. Side, opposite side. So Eber is synonymous with the Hebrew definition because it means one and the same. But notice, it doesn't affiliate us with no language. Look at the synopsis. Look at the references. Side, beyond, straight, passage, from, other. Nothing dealing with the language. So how can he be the father of the Hebrew language and it doesn't even give him credit for it? His name just means one who comes from beyond. Just like the same reference, Abraham the Hebrew. Abraham, one who comes from beyond, the opposite side. Again, properly a region across, but used only adverbially with or without preposition. So again, it just means one who crosses over, so that we're not dictating a nationality or a language when we're talking about the word Hebrew. Again, we see no association with Ebar being a language, but meaning to cross beyond. Now, what does Habaru mean? Now, we define Habaru in the Hebrew, but guess what? That's not the only definition. What does Habaru mean? Habaru, sometimes written as Haparu, and more accurately, Apiru, meaning those who cross from the other side. Nomads. See that? Migrants. Illegal aliens. That's what Hebrew mean. Illegal alien. You niggas, like, you know, when the Mexicans try to cross the border, and those niggas is Hebrews. They're coming from beyond Mexico, coming into America. They're crossing the line. They're crossing over. They're nomadic. The Palestinians that's crossing over into Egypt for refuge, guess what? They're considered, right? Those are Hebrews. They're moving as nomads. When you're displaced from your home and you got to move from place to place, you consider nomadic. You're migrating. You're moving around. That's what Hebrew is. That's what the definition of the word Hebrew is. Those who move from place to place, or those from beyond. In Sumeria, this is how it's spelled. Sagas, Akkadian, Habaru. See that? So it's just not in the Hebrew you find the term Hebrew. You find it in the Cuneiform script, in the Cuneiform language. And it's synonymous with the Hebrew definition. Those who cross from the other side. Nomad. Apiru is a term used in the 2nd millennium BC text throughout the Fertile Crescent for people variously described as rebels, outlaws, raiders, mercenaries, bowmen, servants, which are slaves, and laborers. These are the description of the Hebrews in the 2nd millennium BC. They're described as being rebellious, outlaws, raiders. And look at this. Guess who he is? That's a Hebrew. That's a Hebrew you're looking at right there. Let's prove it. Adaruma of Al-Akka, king of the Hebrew. This nigga is a king of the Hebrew. See that? Look at that. Al-Akka was founded by the Amorites, in the territory of present-day Turkey during the Middle Bronze Age in the late 3rd millennium BC. The first palace was built 2000 BC, contemporary with the 3rd dynasty of the Ur. This is what? King of the Hebrew. See how he look? And he's at what? Founded by the Amorites. Didn't they say Abraham was an Amorite in one of them biblical verses? See that?
She finally takes me back.
Adruma of Al-Alka, king of the Hebrews. See that? Now look at this. This is a script, figurative slave treaty between Adruma of Al-Alka, Nautel, Atacama, and Pilla. You gotta go somewhere. Yeah, you pick it up. Yeah, so this is a script. This is a tablet talking about a slave treaty between Al-Alka, Nautel, Atacama, and pillars of Kazuwantna, Narcissia. But nonetheless, this is a treaty right here. But look at the language. Look what the script is in. It's in Cuneiform. It's not in Hebrew. Even the king of the Hebrew wasn't even speaking Hebrew. See that? The king of the Hebrew, who you claim to be, Hebrews, is writing in Cuneiform script. He's not even writing in the Proto-Semitic script. He's writing in the Cuneiform, carved in stone. See that? That's a headshot right there. Niggas claim to be Hebrews. Here is evidence of a Hebrew, king of the Hebrew, Apiru, Al-Alka, was founded by the Amorites during the early mid-Bronze Age. See that? And then we have a script to go with it, a tablet written in Cuneiform, no Hebrew. See, these niggas done tricked y'all niggas. The Hebrew Israelites done tricked you niggas to thinking that the Hebrew Israelite language is your language. This is your language. The language of your forefathers was Cuneiform, the Cuneiform script. The script, and they made the language, is what you niggas supposed to be following. This is what Abraham spoke. But what language did Abraham speak? Now, this is the region where Abraham is from right here. See that? This is where Abraham is from. Of Chaldea, according to the biblical narrative. Now, there's another narrative where there's another coming up the north, and he sojourned south into Canaan. That would make sense, but he's coming east. But nonetheless, you see it says and Uruk. Now, keep in mind, this king was king. First palace was built 2000 BC, contemporary with the third dynasty of Ur. See that? So what I'm showing you is that the king of the Hebrews spoke a Cuneiform script. And where Abraham was from was Cuneiform script all over. All these red dots is where you find Cuneiform script. So why you niggas is running the Hebrew when you're supposed to be learning the Cuneiform script? Huh? 3100 BC to 2700 BC, Cuneiform script. See that? The Ebla tablets, which is found in Syria, right here, Cuneiform script. See that? See that right there? Urkesh? That's another claim that Abraham could have been from these regions. And then he sojourned south into Canaan. See, there's an right there, and then you got your right here. But that's another argument for another time. Did Abraham come from of Mesopotamia in this region, or did he come from from the north up here? I'll have Louis break that down. Louis gonna come break that down because he's been touching on that subject for some time now. Now, the Ebla tablets, 2500 BC, you see the Cuneiform script. Again, the language of Abraham. And more, you see Cuneiform script. Lugal Galu, king of Adab, 2500 BC circa. Detail of the inscription with archaic Cuneiform. Lugal Galu. That's supposed to be his name in the script. See that? This is the script right here in the zone. kind of like Egypt. If it's encased, I guess it references a king, like a cartouche. If you see a cartouche, you know it's referencing a king. So if it's encased in this box, more likely they're referencing a person. As you can see, there is no Hebrew script but cuneiform script from the 3rd, 2nd millennium BC in the regions where Abraham is from. This is the language of Abraham, the cuneiform script. This is what you niggas should be learning and studying instead of the Hebrew. Now, here's a map just showing you where the cuneiform script is located. All the way from down here of Ur of Chaldea, coming into Babylon and Mesopotamia, the Euphrates. All throughout the Euphrates, you see the script. Even all coming to Syria, all up into Syria, you see the cuneiform script. But you don't see what you call the Proto-Semitic script until you get into the Senya of Northeast Egypt. But all over here, damn near is cuneiform. What is the origin of the cuneiform script? Uh-oh. Watch this. What's the origin of the cuneiform script? Watch this. An ancient Mesopotamian poem gives the first known story of the invention of writing. Uh-oh. The origin and the answer was right there in the script the whole time, right? The Sumerian epic poem in Merkar and the Lord of Arata, 1800 BC, because the messenger mouth was heavy and he could not repeat the message. The Lord of Kulaba patted some clay and put words on it like a tablet. Until then, there had been no putting words on clay. This is in the text itself saying the Lord Kalaba is the one responsible for giving you the cuneiform script. Words on tablets, on clay. This is exactly what these scripts is made of. What did the script say again? An ancient Mesopotamian poem gives the first known story of the invention of writing. Sumerian epic poem, in Merkar, and the Lord of Arata, 1800 BC. It states, because the messenger mouth was heavy and he could not repeat the message, the Lord of Kulaba patted some clay and put words on it like a tablet. Until then, there had been no putting words on clay. So they're letting you know that this guy's responsible for what? Giving you words, tablets, the cuneiform script. Right there. Origin of the cuneiform script is from this guy, the Lord Kulaba, according to the text. Now here's a precept. Exodus 31:18. And he gave unto Moses, when he had made an end of communion with him upon Mount Sinai, 2 tables of testimony, tables of stone, written with the finger of God. See that? Written with the finger of God. What did the Sumerian text say? And the Lord of Kulaba patted some clay and put words on it like a tablet, just like you see here. I got another precept for the Oahspe, first book of the first Lords, 4:2. And the Lord spoke to the iron, saying, so that the labor of the Lord your God may be remembered on earth. Go provide me a stone, and I will engrave it with my own hand, and it shall be called Simoan, because it shall be testimony to all nations and people on earth of what? The first written language in all the world. So here we have 3 accounts from the Oahspe, the Bible, and the cuneiform itself, referencing that the deities came down and gave man language at the beginning. See that? Now here's tablets illustrating the progressive simplification of cuneiform signs from archaic vertical scripts to Assyria. So now when you look, the archaic is basically damn near the petroglyphic system. See that? And this is the evolution of the script from Sumeria to early Babylon, late Babylon to Assyria. See that? So that's a star, the sun. You got different symbols. You got the head, right? Look how it transfer and change. So this is the evolution of the script, the Cuneiform script in the Mesopotamian region. They go to ox. What's supposed to be the ox? You see the ox? That's the two horns of the ox. The same way you see the ox head on the aleph. And then over time it changed. The evolution of the Cuneiform script. Cuneiform script changed considerably over more than 2,000 years. The image below shows the development of the sign sag, or head. So this is the head, the rush. And this is the evolution of it. This is how it first looked, like a petroglyph. And then over time, it changed. 1 shows the pictogram as it was drawn around 3000 BC. So you see remnants of the petroglyphic system 3000 BC. 2 shows the rotated pictogram as written from 28 to 2600 BC. A rotation, a change. And then 3 shows the abstracted glyph in archaic monumental inscription from 2600 BC, talking about the third glyph right here. And then as 4, 5, 6, 7 is just describing the changes. Now, when Abraham sojourned in the land of Canaan, now we clear on what language Abraham spoke, what language his forefathers spoke. It would have been Cuneiform. It would have been the Cuneiform script they would have been dealing with, right? So when Abraham sojourned in the land of Canaan, right, it was there he would have encountered what we consider the Proto-Sinaitic script. The Proto-Sinaitic script. Now we're going to begin into your so-called Hebrew language, or your Hebrew script, I should say. Genesis 12:5. And Abraham took Sarah his wife and Lot his brother's son, and all their substance that they had gathered, and the souls that they had gotten in Haran, and they went forth to go into the land of Canaan, and into the land of Canaan they came. Now, this is their first time ever in life coming into the land of Canaan. They're coming into an established civilization that's already developed. Right? What language did the Canaanites speak when Abraham entered in? Right? But first, who are the Canaanites? Genesis 10:6. Who are the Canaanites? And the sons of Ham, Cush and Mizraim and Phut, and Canaan. Canaan is a Hamite according to Genesis 10:6. But now, curse is Canaan. Genesis 9:25. And he said, curse be Canaan, a servant of servants shall he be unto his brother. So Canaan is cursed. The son of Ham is cursed according to the Bible. Now, let's get another verse where God hates the Canaanites. Deuteronomy 26-18. But of the cities of these people which the Lord your God gives you as an inheritance, you shall let nothing that breatheth remain alive, but you shall utterly destroy them, the Hittites, the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, just as the Lord your God has commanded you, lest they teach you to do according to all their abominations, which they have done for their gods, and you sin against the Lord your God. So here you see God has a dislike for the Canaanites. He wants you to utterly destroy the Canaanites, Israel. Right? The same people you clamor and hate, the Canaanites, is the very same people you got the language from. History. Let's see what this says. Hebrew belongs to what? The Canaanite group of languages. That's it right there. Canaanite languages are a branch of the Northwest Shemitic family of languages, according to Abraham ben Yusuf. Hebrew flourished as a spoken language in the kingdoms of Israel and Judah during the periods from about 1200 to 586 BC. See that? Some new shit. Scholars debate the degree to which Hebrew was a spoken vernacular in ancient times, following the Babylonian exile, when the predominant international language in the region was Old Aramaic. See that? But look, it says Hebrew belongs to the Canaanite group of languages. Right here. Hebrew belongs to the Canaanite group of languages. But right here, we just read how your God is telling you to utterly destroy the very Canaanites whose language you adopted. Hebrew, meaning the Hebrew language, belongs to the Canaanite group of languages. But what did your God up here just say? Huh? But you shall utterly destroy them. But you shall utterly destroy them and the Canaanites. But this is the language you niggas is following. Why is your God got you speaking a cursed people language, a language that he's trying to decimate off the planet? Because if he kills the people, he kills the language. But instead of that, you adopted the language. Again, Hebrew belongs to the Canaanite group of languages. What is the origin of the Hebrew language? Hebrews belong to the Canaanite group of languages. Once again, same thing. Hebrew language. Look what it states. The Paleo-Hebrew and Phoenician alphabet developed in the wake of the Bronze Age collapse out of their immediate predecessor script, Proto-Canaanite. See that? Late Proto-Semitic. During the 13th and 12th century BCE, an earlier Proto-Semitic script. Your Hebrew language, your Paleo-Hebrew comes from the Proto-Canaanite, which is the what? Proto-Semitic script. See that? Your language comes from Canaan, Israel. Paleo-Hebrew alphabet, the Paleo-Hebrew script, also Paleo-Hebrew, Proto-Hebrew, or Old Hebrew, is the writing system found in inscriptions of Canaanite language. You following a cursed people's language talking about it's ours. No, it's not. You better off studying the Cuneiform script, because he ain't cursed the Cuneiform script in the Bible. He said, cursed be Canaan. And we are proving that the Canaanite people and the Canaanite language is what you call today the Hebrew script, the Hebrew language. This was the language the Canaanites were speaking when Abraham came into Canaan. Because you remember, Canaan was already established when Abraham came in. So once he came in for the very first time in his life, them Canaanites would have greeted him, Shalom Aleichem. That's they shit. Abraham would have greeted them in his native tongue, which would have been the Cuneiform script. See how that worked? That's what's going on. So again, Paleo-Hebrew alphabet, the Paleo-Hebrew script, also Paleo-Hebrew, Proto-Hebrew, or Old Hebrew is the writing system found in inscriptions of Canaanite language. That's it. You can't get around that. You niggas can't get around the fact that you following a cursed people script and language. And you got niggas over here giving you college or courses on Hebrew languages. You got Israelites trying to get you to learn Hebrew when you're learning a cursed people language. The Zayat stone. Here's an inscription. It's the Zayat stone. Drawing of inscription of the Zayat stone. Limestone boulder. 10th century BC. Discovered in 2005. Phoenician, Paleo-Hebrew. We already said that Paleo-Hebrew is what? Canaanite. Description. One side of the stone carries the Northwest Shemitic Phoenician with that abecedary extending over two lines. Rendered in the modern Hebrew alphabet, this corresponds to the sequence. So this is your Paleo-Phoenician script right here. basically your Canaanite script. This is your Canaanite script. This is the curse be Canaan script right here. This is this Barashit Bara Elohim. Nigga, you speaking the cursed people language according to your own Torah. You can't get around. According to the Torah and according to history, you niggas is following the Canaanite script. This is the Canaanite script right here. This is the Aleph, the Bet, the Dalet, the Gamel, and all that. Yeah. And it's the same thing modernized right here. This is what these niggas trying to get you to learn Hebrew. This is the language of your oppressor, the Canaanites. This is the language that of your enemy who God wants you to utterly destroy. You niggas over here talking about some Aleph, Bet, Gamel, Dalet. Get out of here. Get out of here. Proto-Semitic script, 1850 BC to 1550 BC. This is the Proto-Semitic script. See that? This is what the Israelites adopted when they was in Assyria. Because this is the time period they would have been in Egypt right here, 1850 BC to 1550 BC. This is during the Middle Kingdom. This is the time period that the Asiatics would have been in Egypt. And they would have been in the mines in Assyria. So they would have been well aware and adopted the script. Because when Abraham came in there, generations prior, Abraham's descendants, being Isaac and Jacob and the 12 tribes, would have adopted the script. The same way we adopted English. When the first settler slaves came over here, them niggas wasn't speaking English. They were speaking their native tongue, whatever African language it was. But then their children's children adopted the English language. And here are we today speaking the English language. And we don't even have a clue of what language our forefathers spoke coming off them slave boats, or whether if you're Aboriginal, either or. You don't know the original language of your ancestors. But here we have the original language of your ancestors because your ancestor Abraham came out of Ur of Chaldea. And I showed you the Cuneiform script. That's Abraham shit. That's what y'all niggas supposed to be harboring on. The Cuneiform. That's the shit you're supposed to be learning. But you want to learn the script of the cursed people, the Canaanites. You want to learn the script of your enemy. And you adopted it well, Israel. Proto-Semitic script. Now we have a time period. The Proto-Semitic script is around this time period. Like I said, the Middle Kingdom. They would have been in Egypt at this time. While they was in Egypt, the Canaanites had a temple already built in Canaan, 1650 BC. So while the Israelites was in Egypt, learning and studying their oppressor's language, when they came out of Egypt into the land of Canaan, they're still under their oppressor, their false god, Moloch, who they worshiped for 40 years in the wilderness. Moloch is Baal. See that? The temple of Baal stood 1650 BC. This the temple of Baal with the Holy of Holies and all that right here. 1650. When you was in slavery in Egypt, they had the Canaanite priesthood was offering bullocks to their deities, Baal, as you see here. You adopted this practice when you came out of Egypt at the ending of the Middle Kingdom or the beginning of the New Kingdom in the 15th century BC. When you was in the wilderness for 40 years, you was worshiping Baal because you was offering bullocks. See that? So what I'm showing you is that the language you hold is holier than thou. We got to learn the Hebrew language comes from your enemy. Comes from your enemy according to the Bible. It comes from a cursed people. You speaking the cursed people's language according to your Bible. Where does the Proto-Semitic script come from? Easy read, parent system. What does that say? What does that say? Proto-Semitic script. What is the parent system? Egyptian hieroglyphs. Who are the Egyptians? Is not the Egyptians the Mizraim, the sons of Ham? So you have the sons of Ham giving you niggas language. First, Canaan giving you the Proto-Semitic script. Canaan is a Hamite. And their parent system, being the Egyptian hieroglyphs, is Mizraim, which is still Ham. So both ways you niggas is getting fucked over. The same niggas you claim you don't fuck with, the Hamites, or we don't deal with that Egyptian stuff, them niggas gave you your language. Because the Egyptian hieroglyph is where they got the 22 Proto-Semitic script to give you what you call the Hebrew alphabet. Nigga, that's bad drop, nigga. That's game over. This is proven. Here's the evidence. We're not making this shit up. Hebrew script plagiarized from Egyptian hieroglyphs. Now look, this is the Hebrew alphabet. They go to Aleph. See that? They're going the hieroglyphs. The same shit. Look at that. That's where they got it. So the Canaanites got it from the Mizrahims. So Mizraim, being Egypt, is older than Canaan, Proto-Semitic. But it's both Hamitic. Shem ain't got shit to do with this. The Shemite language is your Cuneiform script. I keep telling niggas this. This is Hamitic. Hebrew, what you call classifies Hebrew, is a Hamitic script. This is the Hebrew alphabet and the Egyptian hieroglyph where they got the script from. Look at the hay, the man with the raised stretched arms. There they got it right there in Egypt. See that? Go to the next side. Look at that. You can see the prototype. Look with the mem, the watery symbol. See that? The iron. And of course, some things is modified and changed as time. So the Hebrew script is plagiarized from Egypt. That's where they got it from. Niggas ain't telling you that. See that? Ain't no Hebrew Israelites telling you this shit I'm telling you right here. Telling you that you follow in the cursed people language, the Canaanites. And this is where their language comes from. It comes out of the hieroglyphs of Ham. Proto-Semitic script of Al, 1700 BC. God. This is God. This is God expressed in the Proto-Semitic script being the Canaanite script and the return being the Egyptian hieroglyph. So basically, this is the term God in Egypt. Because we just showed you where they got the script from up here. Right here, Proto-Semitic and hieroglyph, they show you where the Proto-Semitic copied it from the hieroglyphs. So if that's the case, the term Al, being God, is found in the hieroglyphs. And there go the glyphs right before your face in the Proto-Semitic script. This is the child root of it. If you go to the parent, we just switch the glyphs to the goat head or the ox. This is 1700 BC, the term God. Keep in mind, Israel is in Egypt at this point. They would have been seeing this. They would have been writing this. See that? Al equal God. They go to hieroglyph. They go to Aleph. They go to hieroglyph. And they go to Lamed. Showing you the Egyptian hieroglyph for the word God, which in Hebrew is the Aleph and the Lamed. Easy work. Easy work. Your language, Israel, and the concept of God comes from the Canaanites and the Mizraim. Mizraim in Canaan is the root of God when it comes to the script. There you go right there. The Aleph and the Lamed equal L. And we know L equal God, right? Right? Ooh-wee-wee. What does Hosea? Hosea 13:4 say, yeah, I am the Lord thy God, Al, from the land of Egypt. Now you see why. The oldest inscription of God is found in Egypt under the Proto-Semitic, in return, the hieroglyph. So this symbol right here, this ox head and this staff, cane, whatever you want to call it. Because the ox represents force and the staff authority, power. Like, Cesario, God need power. No. The power comes from the symbol of the ox, symbol of strength. See that? You got to make it concrete. You just can't say power. Power is abstract thinking. If you Hebrew, you got to identify. That's why they got a goat head, showing you the strength in nature of the ox with power and force. And the staff. So Hosea 13:4, I am the Lord thy God from the land of Egypt. See that? Easy work. So the concept of your God comes from the Hamitic Egyptian hieroglyph, which in return comes from the Hamitic Canaanites, who created a 22-letter script from the hieroglyphs, giving you what is called Proto-Semitic script, later on becoming what you know today as the Hebrew language. So, and you know what I mean? Easy work. Give me a 1 in the chat if y'all getting this understanding, family. Give me a 1 in the chat. Now, keep in mind, they're speaking the oppressor's language, the Canaanites, who they hate. Let's read a couple verses how God feel about the Canaanites, the very language that the Israelites adopted. Look what it states. When the Lord your God bring you into the land which you go to possess, and has cast out many nations before you, the Hittites, the Girgashites, and the Amorites, and what? The Canaanites, right? That's the language you niggas stole. And the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than you. And when the Lord your God deliver them over to you, you shall conquer them and utterly destroy them. Your God is telling you to destroy a people and a language, but in return, you adopted the language who God told you to destroy. So that don't look good at all. Let's jump down. Exodus 23. But if you indeed obey his voice and do all that I speak, then I will be an enemy to your enemy and an adversary to your adversary. For my angel will go before you and bring you into the lands, into the Amorites and the Hittites and the Perizzites and the Canaanites, the Canaanite gods, Oh man, and the Hivites and the Jebusites, and I will cut them off, and you shall not bow down to their gods. Who is the Canaanite gods? Baal, El, and you follow these gods till this day, because all you niggas follow El, Elohim, and Lord is Baal. Nor serve them, nor do according to their works, but you shall what? Utterly overthrow them and completely break down their sacred pillars. See that? Remember the temple, the Holy of Holies that I showed you? The temple of the Canaanites in 1650 BC? Now he's telling the Israelites to utterly destroy those temples. See that? But this is the same people you adopted the language. The same hate your God got for these people. You speak in the language of your oppressors, your enemies. See that, family? Speaking the language of your oppressors, yo. Let's run the rhythm for a few, yes? Run the rhythm. Yes, family, easy work, you know. So that goes to show you right there. You know what I'm saying? That goes to show you right there. Show the origin of the Hebrew language coming out of Canaan. They definitely mixed in with the Canaanites. They definitely showed that. Right. It's a blood clot vibes. Yes, family, vibing, you know. Yeah, man, that's easy work. You know what I'm saying? The Hebrew language comes from the Proto-Semitic script. The Proto-Semitic script comes from the Canaanites. We showed reference after reference that the Hebrew language is rooted in the Canaanite language. Canaanite language is rooted in the Egyptian hieroglyphs. So it's like, yo, it's over with, man. Niggas can't say nothing else. Niggas can't say nothing else. Niggas ain't got no Hebrew. Niggas ain't got no Proto-Semitic script going back to 2000 BC. What they got on record goes back to 1850. That's some of their oldest script. But the Cuneiform script goes back to that third millennium BC. You know what I'm saying? That's right. It's a vibes. Let me run the rhythm, yeah? You know how we do. So now look at that. We just went through the etymology and the archaeology of the evidence of the word and of the language and the root of the language and all that. Now, that's not even talking about the deities themselves. That's just a breakdown of the language and its origins. When we come to these deities, these gods of war that Israel follows, you got Israelites running to the land of Israel. What's that verse that they use in Zephaniah? That they try to say that a remnant gonna go back to, what is it, Ashkelon or Judah? Do they know that that is pre-captivity talk? That nigga was Zephaniah wasn't talking about 2023. That nigga was talking about when the captivity come in 722 BC. When everything will be displaced in Judea. That's what he was talking about. And all the prophets pre-captivity, that's what they was talking about. They wasn't talking about the prophets of the Israelites. Them niggas was not talking end time prophecy. They was talking prophecy for the time period that they was in. The prophets that came pre-captivity, Jeremiah, Isaiah, them niggas was talking about the coming captivity, which was the 722 invasion. And in the southern prophets in the south amongst the Judeans, those prophets talked about, like Malachi and them, Zephaniah and them, the Babylonian captivity of 586 BC. That's what the niggas was talking about. And then when they came back and rebuilt the second temple under their slave master Cyrus, yes, if it wasn't for Cyrus, they wouldn't have No permission to be building that second temple. God, through Cyrus, allowed the Israelites to go back into to Jerusalem to rebuild the second temple, which they did. And then when the second temple was built, there's a 400-year gap between the book of Malachi and the New Testament. So that's between 4th century BC, the building, the 5th century BC, the time they returned from captivity, to the time Yahshua was born. It's a 400-year time of silence. There's no document. From the Old Testament, the gap between the Old Testament and the New Testament is 400 years. The book of Malachi being the last book of the Old Testament, prophesying about what? The fall of the temple, the fall of the temple. The second temple, the prophets that came up talking about the fall of that temple. Yahshua came up talking about, yo, this shit Jerusalem gonna fall. 70 AD, what happened? Shit fell. Niggas became scattered abroad and you ain't heard from God since. God ain't spoke to niggas since the fall of Jerusalem in 70 AD, according to the Bible. According to the Bible, the last time God spoke was to Jesus. In the Oahspe, those 2,000 years that God is silent, the Oahspe got the history of those 2,000 years, what's going on with them deities, with them gods. Constantine seen that vision. He seen the vision of Christ in the sky. He won the Battle of Millennium Bridge. See, we got the mysteries behind that. The rise of Islam, Jibril. The Oahspe got that. Y'all ain't got that in that Bible. It stops. It stops at the 1st century. Zephaniah 3:8. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think Melly had brought out the other day the script. No doubt. What'd you say, sis? And the Tanakh is the Egyptian records. They have nothing original. Yeah. Well, you know, it's crazy because the 7-day creation story, which is written in tablet, on stone, in cuneiform, is actually where the Hebrew Israel, where the Genesis accounts comes from. The 7 tablets of when Ezra came back to rebuild the second temple, or during the time of the second temple, when Ezra was coming back to Jerusalem with the Torah, that's what he had in the book. That's when, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. That's when it came in the book. Moses didn't come with that story. Moses didn't come with in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. That came through Ezra. All right, the God responded. Zephaniah 2:4-7. Let's get to it. Let's read it. It's a blood clot vibes. So this is what people thinking they got to fulfill. This is the judgment of Judah's enemy. When you say the start of a verse, hold on. 4-7. All right. Zephaniah 2:4-7. And for Gaza shall be forsaken, and Ashkelon a desolation, and they shall drive out Ashdod at the noonday, and Ekron shall be rooted up. Woe unto the inhabitants of the sea coast, the nations of the Cherethites. The word of the Lord is against you, O Canaan, the land of the Philistines. Again, see, we talking about the Canaanites. Same niggas you got your language from. The Lord is against these people, but you speaking the language. Talking about the Hebrew languages from God. The Hebrew languages from your cursed people Canaan, according to the text. O Canaan, the land of the Philistines, I will even destroy thee, that there shall be no inhabitant. And the sea coast shall be dwelling and cottage for shepherds and foals of flocks. And the coast shall be the remnant of the house of Judah. They shall feed thereupon in the house of Ashkelon. They shall lie down in the evening, for the Lord their God shall visit them and turn away their captivity. So here, Zephaniah is pre-captivity. Zephaniah is pre-captivity. Let me see if I can find that Hebrew map real quick. Right here. Boom. All right. So look. This is captivity right here, 720. Zephaniah is prior to the captivity of the Babylonians. So what Zephaniah is talking about is the return of his people from captivity, going back to rebuild the second temple. When they return from captivity under Cyrus, right? Under Cyrus right here. 536 BC, the second temple rebuilt 516 BC. Them niggas was at peace under Cyrus. They wasn't being, fucked with like that. So that's what the verse in 7, and the coast shall be the remnant of the house of Judah, the remnant that returned from captivity. And they shall feed thereupon in the house of Ashkelon. They shall lie down in the evening, for the Lord their God shall visit them and turn away their captivity. So they're returning from captivity out of Cyrus, out of Babylon, and they're at a state of peace for momentarily. Coming down to the 1st century till Yahshua comes and get them niggas hell. You see that? So you got Israelites thinking this shit happening now when this shit already took place. And what's happening today is just a recap of history, to be honest. Everything flows in cycles. You got a whole new race of people claiming to be the chosen people. Back in this time, these people were dark-skinned people. Everybody in the region was dark-skinned people. Now you have light-skinned people, Eurasians, claiming the land, a whole new set of nation, a whole new nation of people coming, and they getting plagued with the same type of behavior like you see in the scriptures. God, these are battle of gods. You got the Muslims fighting in the behalf of Allah, and you got the Jews fighting in behalf of the God of Israel. This is a holy war. This is a war among the gods. Peace to the righteous God. I see you, King. Zechariah Yahoo, I see you, King. What up, Jamia? Jamia in the building. Sister Jamia Bazell, I see you, family. Where's that big man? No doubt, King. Do your thing, yo. Always let the word, let the word spread out to y'all. Because see what I'm showing you too at the same time, don't get caught up in language. Don't let these niggas fool you to think that language is going to get you any closer to the Creator. See, we don't worship gods. You don't hear us over here talking about worship God. You know what I mean? We're a little bit more detailed and a little bit more complex when it comes to when we're talking about who we worshiping. A God is a deity. You already got on record to Zoriach saying that the Most High sits on the throne. And got you believing that Jesus Christ created the heavens and the earth. All that is falsehood. There's only one creator, and that creator is described in the Oahspe how things are created. And when you do a cross comparison of the creation tales, you're going to see that the Oahspe is realistic. You could prove it in real time. You can prove vortexia. You can prove these things in real time. I'm reading Escher right now about Luamong, Judaism, Christianity, Jibril, Islam, and the wars of they fought. Shit line up. Yeah. Yep. See, Luamong is the new kid on the block. No, don't nobody know Luamong. Niggas know about Jibril. They got echoes of Jibril in the Bible and, through Islam. But the actual story and the narrative of how all this shit came about, they ain't got that. They ain't got that. Yeah, that book of Escher's cold-blooded. That book of Escher cold-blooded, Joe. So the point is, don't get caught up in language. To serve the Creator don't require you to speak a specific language. The Creator gonna deal with you directly. He's not worrying about what language you speak. He gonna get to you regardless of what language you speak. There is no oppressed language. Language is language. Language is a means to communicate. That's all language is. A means to communicate. Communicate. Comprehend. You're going to go to France and say, oh, these niggas got a cursed language? You're going to go to Egypt and say, you're going to go anywhere in the world and talk about another person's language? It's all about means of communication. The service done unto others is what determines your spiritual resurrection. These niggas got you believing on study and read Hebrew is going to get you closer to God. That's not true. Those who persecuted the prophets spoke the same language. That should tell you right there. That should tell you right there. My children been listening to me read from the Oahspe in our private online chat, and they are asking a ton of questions. Creator receives the glory. Yeah. When you receive, and you give them kids them answers, yeah. You tell them look up. See, children learn objectively. You can't tell a kid anything, and they're going to believe it. You got to show them it. You got to demonstrate. And we can demonstrate creation in the Oahspe. Vortexy and current. We can show the pattern. We can show the form. We can show that a vortex is what produces central suns. A sun is produced by a vortex. We could show the spiraling galaxy. In the center of the spiraling galaxy, you see a ball of fire. You see a central sun, a centered sun. You cannot have that centered sun without that spiral first. See that? System in order prevails. The Big Bang Theory has been debunked by the vortex because you can't look into creation and show a Big Bang Theory. Let me show you an example. I'm going to pull up a picture of the Big Bang Theory, and I'm going to pull up a picture of galaxies and see which one is proven in real time. Big Bang Theory and a concept, right? We're on the rhythm. I'm going to find that, yeah? Keep the vibes up on. Now, we have to prove this ras clot in real time, you know, King. That's what I have to do. the blood clot vibes. Yes, family. All right, so check it, right? Now, they talk about the Big Bang Theory, right? Now, this is the picture of the Big Bang. This is the concept of the Big Bang, right? Can we prove this in real time? All these are illustrations and subjective concepts of how creation comes about. You know, I know a lot of y'all probably seen this picture before. They're getting all scientific, so and an explosion happened here and then, pew, the Big Bang, right? So they got different concepts of the Big Bang, right? But the Oahspe say this, Book of Jehovah, chapter 3, verse 6. For each and every corporeal world, I created a vortex first. Now, this right here debunks the Big Bang, because the Big Bang is supposed to be the theory that how everything came into existence. So the Big Bang will be the first cause. But here in the Oahspe is telling us a vortex is the first cause. So here's an example of the Big Bang, right? Here's their Big Bang concepts, drawings. But then the Oahspe said, for each and every corporeal world, I created a vortex first. Now here's a vortex. This is real. These vortices right here are real. Spiraling vortices are real. And to verify that they're real, on Earth, we see the same vortex through hurricane. It's the same concept in real time. So we have an example of the vortex in nature, and we have an example of the vortex in the cosmos. But we do not have an example of the Big Bang in neither. You can't show me a concept of the Big Bang in nature, nor can you show me a concept of the Big Bang in creation. But we can show you a concept of the vortex through galaxies. The numerous galaxies, you see the vortex. Look at this one. You see the vortex, and in the center, you see the sun. Let's go to this one. You see the vortex, and then in the center, you see the sun. Let's go to this one. You see the vortex, in the center, you see the sun. The majorities have a vortex surrounding a central sun. The sun cannot exist if it wasn't for the vortex first. So here, this debunks the Big Bang Theory. The first cause of creation is the vortex, because these vortices produce central suns, and these central suns produce smaller central solar systems like ours with inhabitable life on it. And here we are observing a sun that is subjected to a bigger sun. But neither of this would exist if it wasn't for the vortex first, which you see in nature here, the vortex. So this is how the Oahspe is objectively proven. If I was showing a kid this, they'll get it. They'll see it. But a kid, this is just a drawing. This only exists in their mind. This only exists subjectively. But this exists objectively. We can see this outside of nature. We can see this in nature, right? The vortex. What did Jaja say? For each and every corporeal world, I created a vortex first. So this verse debunks the Big Bang Theory. So all these niggas trying to study the Big Bang and get all deep with the Big Bang, you need to be studying the vortex. Because you wouldn't even have a Big Bang even if it wasn't for the vortex. Your vortex is the Big Bang. This your Big Bang right here, the vortex. See that? That's driving all these gases, nebulas, minerals, solids and gases and liquids to a center in massive force, colliding, bow, boom. Destructive force, what we would consider destructive force, just like this. This is what's going on in the cosmos and worlds are created. The vortex is destructive, powerful wind current. See that wind current? That's exactly what's going on here in these vortices, powerful wind currents. You get in the way of that, you're going to get decimated. You're going to be looking like this. But for the cosmos, for the angels, learning, managing vortices and worlds, don't get caught. You don't want to get caught up in the vortex, because getting caught up in the vortex is the same way as getting caught up in this hurricane. The only safe zone in this hurricane is in the eye. That's the only safe zone in the hurricane, is in the eye. The safe zone in the galaxy is where? The eye, the central, where there's no force. You don't even know that there's a vortex existing around you. We don't even know that there's a vortex existing around the earth because we in the eye of the motherfucker. But when you in the eye of the vortex, nigga, you don't even know that it's a hurricane anymore. If you ever been in a hurricane and you ever went through the eye of the hurricane, all that shit cease. It's like the hurricane gone for a moment. You would think that the hurricane gone. And then here come the winds again. Here come the violent winds. Yeah, yo. As above, so below, so below. As above. It's one system, one order when dealing with Creator. And the Oahspe displays that. Give me a one in the chat if y'all getting this understanding, family. You know how we do. It's a blood clot vibes. Club vibes. It's a blood clot vibes. Yes, family, large up yourself, big up yourself. It's your hostess with the mostest, select the Sila the one and twos. You know how we do. It's the vibes. Come reach for it, Elder. Come reach for the screen now. In a minute, we're going to have technology. Just reach your hand through the screen and pick up the jar, you know. Try to get them bittersweet herbals, you know what I mean? I see you, King. I see you. Figure out who are the peace to the God. Peace to the righteous God. I see you, King. I figured out who the great aliens really are. The answer has been in our face the whole time. I doubt a few people have made the major connection I made. Yo, this dude right here is a crazy researcher. Hey, you want to come on and talk about it for a quick second? I ain't going to be on that long, but you want to come on and talk about it? If you like the head, here you go. I'm about to drop the link, man. I'm going to drop the link for y'all to come on for a second. I ain't going to be on too long, but y'all can hop on for a quick second, you know what I mean? I already did the lesson. Ran through that, you know what I mean? So y'all ain't got to be worrying about trying to run and learn no Hebrew. Just go out there and do good works on the others and increase your knowledge and information about Creator. They go to the link right there, family. Whoever want to hop on, touch on what we're touching on. It's a blood clot vibes. Let's see who the green men are, the Martians. Let's see who the green little men are. You know what I mean? I was taught that they were the PJ fucking, I forgot, 52s or some shit. cyber organisms, worker bees for the reptilians and all that crazy shit. Yeah, buddy. That shit get deep. Oh, you're gonna make a video on it? All right, cool. Gonna make a video on my man. Yeah. When you do that, share that, bro. Got to get you in here for an interview and all that. Lucy in the building. Peace to the righteous God. What's good, Lucy?
Shalom, shalom. What's good with you, bro?
Shalom Aleichem. What's good?
Nah, bro, chilling. I seen your stream earlier. I got off, was doing some reading, and then I finished up. Got back on, seen you was still rocking, so I figured I'd hop back on. Seen you had the StreamYard pin. So I said, let me get on here real quick. What you talking about?
Yeah, man. I was just touching on the curse. I titled it "Curse Be Canaan" in the Hebrew language, and I was just going in on the origin of the Hebrew language being a Proto-Semitic script from Canaan and out of basically rooted in Egypt. Egyptian hieroglyph, just showing that and just showing how a lot of people try to press you learning Hebrew, or you got to learn the Hebrew language, and according to their own text, it's coming out of a curse. You following a cursed people's language.
Yeah, a lot of them don't even know that the Hebrews are the Horites.
Right. I see. I don't, you probably didn't catch it, but when you go back and look next time, earlier, I brought up the fact that there was 2 Urs, and I said when Lucy gets some time, probably we set a date, and then you could address how Abraham came from the north of Mesopotamia, not the south.
Oh yeah, you talking about from Edessa? Yeah.
Yeah. That's some good shit right there. We definitely gonna have to goddamn address that. That's hitting on something. You know what I mean? Primordial Cosmic. What's good, King?
What's up, man? How y'all feeling?
Hey, man, we good, man. We here.
Yeah, man.
So what's the discovery?
Oh, yeah, man. I'm most likely I'm gonna put it up on. I'll probably put the video up on my main channel.
I was talking to Primordial Cosmic.
Oh, okay.
He said he found out who the Greys are, so I was asking him who they are.
Yeah,
okay,
I'll probably put the video up on my page next month, but YouTube might take it down because I had that last video Cosmo did on Sonetta channel. I had used my main account to comment on Sonetta's comment page, and YouTube blocked me for like a day.
You hot, boy. You got the feds all on you, boy. You hot. So
with this whole gray aliens things, I came across a book by what's this guy's name? He wrote probably about 20 books. I bought about 10 of them. I'm going through this book because most of his research is based on Kemetic information dealing with the hieroglyphics and stuff like that, and African history. So I'm going through the book. The book is like 700 something pages. So I'm looking. I said, what the hell is this? I said, I've seen that image before. So when I did the image comparison, and then I had found some research that I had did a couple of months back, made the connection. I said, oh shit, these white folks think they slick. Cause I did a video on the Greys years and years ago on my main account, and YouTube had took the video down, so I did the appeal, and then they waited like a week, and they put it back up there.
I heard the Greys were working bees for the reptilians. That's what they say. That's the shit that they, but early 2000, they was leaking all that shit. That's what they were saying and shit.
Yeah, most of that stuff is coming from mainly Europeans, white people. But I'm quite sure when I put this up there, a lot of black folks were like, man, how come I didn't figure that out?
You talking about that Egyptian hieroglyph where it looked like the aliens, the Greys? You talking about that one?
Yeah, but it's not the I didn't use the one with the you can see them in the pyramid text. In the pyramid.
You say see them in the pyramid text. What you mean? You talking about in the glyph, or you talking about in the actual storyline?
In the actual glyph, they have it posted up on the internet like a picture of one of them standing next to one of the pharaohs or whatever. But I came across information in an old dude's book when he had put up the Egyptian Ankh, and you can see the head similarity. And then when I did my research, I said, wait a minute, when did this whole gray aliens thing come about? You know what I'm saying? Like giving a description. So H.G. Wells, he brung it out when he wrote that fictional story in the 1800s, talking about the War of the Worlds, right? So I'm looking, I'm doing the math. I said, wait a minute, man. These white folks they not as slick as they think they are. Because when I went back in history, I found the tribe, the actual tribe, where these beings come from.
Oh, so you're saying that basically the Greys are some niggas?
Yeah, but they're not
They're not extraterrestrial.
No, that's a misnomer.
Kind of like how they did. What's that movie with the purple people and shit? And they try to say they came from like some African tribe.
I forget what beings are those.
The Avatar movie when them niggas was in them bodies and shit.
Oh yeah.
But they got that from like some African tribe or whatever.
Yeah, but with this, man, yeah, like I said, Bill, the answer's been right there in our face the whole time. So like I said, if I decide to put the video up, y'all gonna see clear as day. Like, man, yeah, these white folks did a number on us.
So all right. So what you're saying is that the Greys, the slender niggas with the big eyes.
Yeah. So whenever you see the gray aliens, right, they always depict them as pale skin or gray skin, right? So you know what I'm saying? Like I said, when you read the H.G. Wells story, he gives his description about what these beings look like. Now this is like in the mid 1800s. You know what I'm saying? So when I backtracked it, I said, wait a minute. Well, he had to have gotten this story from somewhere else, because he could not have been the first person that came up with this stuff. You know what I'm saying? They're not extraterrestrials. They're not coming from some planet, because I already had got information on these graves don't come from you normally hear the story about they come from the Zeta Reticula constellation, whatever. That's
the Draconia and shit. Yeah. But
you
ever heard? I'm sure you're aware of the story of Lacerta.
What is that? One of the extraterrestrial races?
It's an audio of supposed to be like of a female reptilian and shit. Mm-hmm. And it's called Lacerta. You can look it up, and then she just give it. She's supposed to be a native born reptilian, but she talks about the extraterrestrial ones like the Draconians and stuff like that. They be beefing with them or whatever. It's a crazy ass story, but it's on there.
Okay, I got tons of information on that with the reptilians and the Greys and the Pleiadians and all those beings and stuff like that. But when it comes down to these Greys, man, you will see it clear as day. Like, man, nah, it's just to keep people, especially black folks, keep them in fear. And if you ask yourself the question, when it comes down to these Greys, how come white folks always being abducted?
But hold up, let me ask you this though. I know you've seen them clips. It was two astronauts. I forget the name of them. They all Europeans, and they were describing black extraterrestrials telling the astronauts what to do. And they said the niggas like 9 or 10 feet tall.
Yeah, it's a book by Thomas Wilkins. It's called Selected by an Extraterrestrial. He talks about that in this book. It's
something McLennan. Something McLennan. I know his last name is McLennan. Is one of them. I forget the other half of the name.
Yeah. So when I did the graves research on the graves, I found out where that part comes in at. Like, why does H.G. Wells say that they have pale gray skin, but when you do the history on it, you're gonna see clear as day where they got that from. You're even gonna see where the story of Pinocchio comes from. Like, he made that wooden boy to come to life, and you're gonna see exactly where they stole that from.
Oh, you know what is crazy? Because I wanted to do a joint, a live dealing with movies that happen in real time. Because what's that movie like Dracula? Is Vlad the Impaler. But then a lot of niggas don't know Freddy Krueger is rooted in some real shit. It's the Cambodian killing fields. I don't want to touch on that one, nigga. That shit's sweet. Yo, Lucy, you got to check that, boy. Freddy Krueger, the root of the story is based off of the Cambodian killing fields. Lucy, I think you'll enjoy that, looking that up if you don't already know about
I know
it.
about that. Sounds interesting.
Yeah, bro, trust. You know, we on that Halloween shit sometimes, so you know niggas be on that spooky shit.
Man, peace to the righteous gods, man, and Nirvanian goddesses, man. What's going on with y'all, brothers?
Hey, what's good, Cosmo? Talk to us. What's going on with you?
Ain't nothing, man. I just came in. What's up, Lou? Just came in to holler at Primordial real quick, man, because I ain't got long, so I was trying to just figure out his conclusion on who he say these people is, because I mean he still got to give us the information. I'm just saying, tell us who you found out that these people is, bro.
You talking about the Grays?
Yeah.
Okay. So like I said, I had looked up H.G. Wells, right? And I had came across a book by an African guy who was doing history on Black people's religion, and he showed the picture of the Ankh. So then what he had did was show a picture of a he showed a picture of an African tribe that's in West Africa that's predating the story of the H.G. Wells Grays, right? And you can look it up right now, and it's called the It's called the Ashanti fertility doll.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look that up and you read the story on Wikipedia, when you click on the images of the Ashanti doll, you look at those images and then you compare those to the Grays.
You said Ashanti what?
It's called the Ashanti fertility doll.
Right. I'm here.
And
Oh,
when you go,
doll. Okay.
yeah,
it's a fertility doll.
yeah. So when you look at those images, and then you click on Wikipedia, right? And when you read that story of the Ashanti fertility doll, they tell you who that story pertains to, right? And when you read further down, it's going to tell you that it says that the Europeans came into West Africa in the 1800s, and it was stealing Black people's ideas, concepts, and thoughts, and why these African fertility dolls was made, what skin complexion they were, right? And they tell you that these dolls were actually Black mothers' children's, and they were considered as when Black folks was taken from Africa and brought over to America. They tell you what tribe was taken from there over here, and what those dolls were actually meant to be.
Yeah, they say they're from the Akan. You know what I mean? They're supposed to be from the Akan people, and they practice
I got it on the screen.
They practice a religion called Atacama with an M on it.
Yeah, the Atacama
practice the Atacama. You know what I mean? So yeah, okay, I can see it.
All right, so
I see it.
Right,
I see it. That's crazy. So you saying that the gray aliens are in fact humans?
Yes, they're Black. They're little Black. So like when you see them, they always say that whenever white folks say they see these Grays, they always say they look like Black children, like little. They say they're like little kids, little children, but they're not. They're not children. They're actually adults, people.
Well, Oahspe give you a breakdown on the little people. You dig what I'm talking about? They call them over. Well, firstly, they got family names, so they got whole familial lines of these little people, but they say they extend firstly from the Nile regions, and that's why they call them the Twa, or the little people, or today these would be called the Mbutis. But when I saw this for the first time, I instantly thought of, do y'all remember the story on Atacama, man?
No.
Hey, look up the Atacama man. He's in America now, but I want you to see that this is I think it's ATTACAMA. no, it's
Say it again. Say the word.
It's Atacamas. Attacama. Atacama man. Look at this man. Oh, no. It's in
Yeah, Atacama. Them slippers pulled up.
it's a humanoid, and it's in South America. Yeah, that's a real humanoid that they did DNA on. They was actually able to get his DNA.
Yeah, I remember
I
that.
remember that. I saw that. Yeah, I've seen that before.
So when I first seen them little them fertility dolls, that's the first thing I thought. I said, dang, that's a little big head man. You know what I mean? And they try to say that's like a fetus, but ain't no way.
Now, and then on top of that, it's another book I got proving that they're black people, because it's a book called Roswell Case Closed, right? So in that book, when the Roswell crash happened, they said that they found these bodies, right, these extraterrestrial bodies, and when the one of the nurses, she's one of the top head nurses, right, and when she did the autopsy on them, she said these are little black bodies, about 3 to 4 feet tall, right, and the government ended up killing her ass. They told her to shut the hell up, you talking too much. So,
yeah, because them is the Ions. Them is the people who go on to repopulate the earth. Many of them, I would say up to about 60% of them, irregardless of racial makeup, were a pale skinned people. Not pale as in what we would call modern day white, but albino. You dig what I'm talking about?
I got some.
Irregardless to if they're Negroid, these are the oldest known people in the world, the mound builders. These are the little people, the Mbuti, the Twa. You dig what I'm talking about? They call them the Naga in the Vrish, the people of the light in India. They call them the Naga in India. They call them Munahuni. They call these little people Munahuni in Hawaii. They call them they got a name for them in it's slipping my mind.
Got in Asia, they call the Mogwai.
Say it again, Luke.
Saying Asia, I said some parts of Asia they're called the Mogwai.
Yep, the Mogwai. They call them the in Southeast Asia, they call them the orang, the orang putek, or the jungle monkey man.
Yeah, as soon as you said that,
look,
that nigga looking like Asu. That elder looking like Asu in the back there and shit.
Come on, man. He's straight Davidian. He a real Denisovan. Look at that brother.
Look at this young baby right here. Look at him. Look at the hair.
Yeah.
Traces of the iron.
Traces of the iron.
This nigga right here look like a Super Saiyan.
Right. He just went he went Super Saiyan 3 on a nigga real quick. Whoop your ass.
Pull up the Australian Aboriginals. Them bulls look pretty wild.
Yeah. Look at that.
Yeah. Them niggas look like straight primitive men, yo.
Yeah, they do got a little extra druck in them, I believe.
That's because everybody that got the oldest DNA mixed with the druck, the brown people. Yeah.
It say shit. As a matter of fact, that's how you produce an Ahuan. You gotta mix the iron with the drug to produce an Ahuan. Mm-hmm. My question is this, Luke. Yeah, if it's only ions, right? 12,420 ions, right, on 138 ships, right? and it take and by the end of the Ark of Noah, right?
Oh, look at that.
By the end of the Ark of Noah, not only is the druk back on the earth, but the Ahuin is rebirthed again on the earth.
Yeah,
So if it
came on
takes,
the earth 3 times.
huh?
I said my bad for cutting you off. I said the Ahuan came into the earth 3 times. Yeah, the retrobred back and came into the earth 3 times.
Exactly. But my question is, if there was a bottleneck, and there's only 12,420 ions in the whole entire world, right? Who go on to reproduce wherever they was at. You dig what I'm talking about? Ham, Shem, Yafet, all that, right? By the time Noah, the Ark of Noah is over, right? So 600 years into the Ark of Noah, the flood comes. There's 3,000 years. In that 3,000 years, not only is the Ahuin saved, but a druk pops up and the Ahuin is reborn. So my question is to you, bro, because you my bro and you a thinking man, is if there are only 12,420 ions in the world, where do the druks come from that you must breed with to produce an Ahuin? And this would be the second time they was produced.
Yeah, they would have been already around. Like before the flood, the whole earth had, for the most part, had druks.
No, we're talking about after the flood. The flood then happened already. The ions is on the boat.
So the flood would have been Pan. It wasn't worldwide. The world was affected by it, but it would have just been Pan that got submerged. Other coastlines or whatever, you know what I mean? Sea levels would have rose, things would have went underwater, but you still had the other continents, so you still had druks. And to some degree, Ahuans were retrobred, because you got to remember, before the flood, they destroyed all the Ahans that were all over the world. The Ahans were all over the world prior to the flood. They were also killed all over the world, except for Pan. And the remnant that was on Pan was saved when Pan was submerged. So those remnants, those fleets, they went about and they mixed with the druks that were already there. The Nephilim.
So you saying that the sinking of the continent of Pan only caused like regional flooding?
Yeah, I don't believe it was worldwide. I believe the world was affected. If you got a continent going in, you have sea levels rising. But as far as like all the continents being submerged, not saying you're saying that, but that it didn't destroy all life. It was just Pan. And it would have just ruined coastal places all over the world. But the druks were already all over the world. And also, the Oahspe talks very general. So I wouldn't be surprised if there were some Ahuans that weren't afflicted by anything that actually went on the ships with the ions. The Oahspe doesn't state that, but we got to remember the Oahspe ain't perfect, and when it speaks in general.
Right.
Hey, Cosmo, you remember in that North Webster Dictionary, 1828, right? So this is to prove what Selah had did about black folks being the first races, right? In that dictionary, you can type in right now. You can type in what definition is that? Oh, okay, yeah. So you go to the North Webster Dictionary, you type in albino, right? You type in albino, it's gonna tell you that albinos come from black people, right? And then he further goes on to say that when the black folks produced these albinos, these black folks saw these albinos and called them an abomination. So you practicing right there. You practicing racism.
Right. Because what actually happened in history, what actually happened in history is many of these brown folks had pale parents.
Yeah.
Regardless of Negroidal. Now, mind you, the iron came in every color from day one. Day one, he came in every color. He was just primarily albino. So he would have been of every quote unquote racial stock. There's only one race. You dig what I'm talking about? You either Homo sapien or you ain't. And that's what makes a person extraterrestrial. But back to what I would say is I believe that the flood was global. And even if it didn't affect, right, every area exactly the same, I would take into account that the force, it says it took to sink a continent, which we did the math on, which is what, 37.5 billion pounds per square inch everywhere. So I think that'll probably smash some stuff. You know what I mean? But you gotta think like a basketball in a pool. You see what I'm saying? Like if you jump on it, it's going to displace not only the land but the water too. So if we are displacing roughly 7 feet or 7 miles deep worth of water, because that's how deep the bottom is down there, 7-8 miles or whatever. So if we turn in that which was above the ground now below the ground, and it's 8 miles below the ground, the water itself, you dig what I'm talking about, would reach a height after you know, like dunking a basketball. The water would splash up to the certain height of the force being used to push the object down, which was a continent. So I did the math on that shit. You got to remember, if it, even in the Bible or Oahspe, it said it covered the tallest mountain. Now we know Hawaii is sitting directly on Pan, right? And is the Hawaiian island is actually the biggest mountain in the world. We just don't see it. It's under the ground. It's under the water. You dig what I'm talking about? But if that water would have displaced as much, it was about roughly 11,000 miles. You dig what I'm talking about? And it would have had to be tall enough to cover the Himalayas. That's in Asia. So it would have had to at least go that far, right? And cover up that. So that's in between Shem and China, and you know, right in that Himalayan region. And it's roughly 30,000 feet tall. You know what I mean? So you got to cover that much water for 30,000. At 30,000 feet, that's like right at the clouds, a little bit above the clouds. You know what I mean? I think the clouds is like 18,000 feet, 16,000 feet or some shit. So this would be like double that. All the way, you would cover up the land of China, basically. Now, if you did that on the other side also, you know what I mean? It would swamp America and end in the Sahara somewhere. And if you did it on the other region, it would go from roughly Hawaii to Tibet and swamp that area. But when you put the mileage together, they almost touch. So I get, and plus, like people like Shahua, the great giants, they tell us that they went to the mountaintops and survived. That's what they say. They say they went to the mountaintops and survived. I'm more of the idea that the reason they produce the Druk and then the Ahuan again is because the ions already had Druk in them. Think about this. What do it take to produce an ion? An atomite and an angel. So this worse than a Druk. You dig what I'm saying? This worse than a Druk. So even with the natural breeding of the ion back to back to back with itself, he would produce ions who didn't get it. Hence, Druk. You dig what I'm talking about? And them people, through hybridization, produce the Ahuan again. What you
I
think
was
about that idea?
I was having this conversation with my coworker, right? We was talking about the Oahspe and things like this, right? So I asked him this question. I said, if 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 God created all things, right? And he says that because he started laughing when I asked him this question. I said, if God created Adam and Eve, and God says that Adam and Eve are his children, wouldn't that make Adam and Eve brothers and sisters? And then if they brothers and sisters and they having kids, ain't that considered incest?
Well, I mean, if you look at it like that, but then if you step back a little bit and look at the big picture and understand that all men are sons and daughters of the Creator, you dig what I'm talking about, and hence brother and sister. Well, then, yeah, you know what I mean. It's yeah, you know, in that sense, but everybody doesn't have exactly the same genetics per se. You know what I mean? There's little minute differences. I believe that our environment plays a part in how man reacts in his environment. So
I got another question. I'm gonna let you go. I posed this question on one of the sisters' channels. She had went live a couple days ago. I said this. She was talking about prayers being answered, right? I said because I work with special needs people, right? They have mentally challenges, mental disabilities. I said so when it comes in terms of prayers, in any religious textbook, whatever you want to call it, any book. Well, what about people that's blind and that's deaf? Do their prayers get answered? Who's answering their prayers? Because the blind can't read and the deaf can't hear. So how are their prayers being answered? Because you got a major problem right there. That's why I was talking about. I told my coworker. I say no, something is wrong. Something is definitely off. You know what I'm saying? And oh my God, I got a major bomb for you. Check it. Listen to this. For people who believe in the Bible, those stories as actual factual stories, right? You talk about the Exodus story, right? And it says that God sent the plagues, right? And he sent the frogs and locusts down, and the rivers turned to blood. I, I found the answer to that. What really caused that? It's a book that I came across. It's called dealing with electricity of the biological body, right? So I'm reading that book a couple days ago. I'm reading it, and the author of the book, she goes into the Exodus story, but she says she's telling you it's a myth, but she's telling you it's history behind it. What actually caused it, right? So I'm looking, and she brought up a certain word that's dealing with what do you call that a certain animal species. So I looked that word up. I clicked on it. I clicked on the images. I said, "Here's your biblical tale about the rivers turning to blood." I said, "You got the
you
answer right."
talking about the it was a
It's called
bloom.
no. It's not that. It's a certain animal. It has something to do with algae,
You're right.
but
It's a bloom.
it's called
It's
a
a
dino. It's called a dinoflagellates. You look that up, the dinoflagellates, and it's a toxin that they give off. It's built inside of them, right? And when they give off that toxin, and whenever they are near water, that toxin is going to pollute the water, and it's going to turn the waters different colors. And that's your answer right there to your biblical plague about the river turning to blood. That certain animal gives off a toxin, and the whole river turns to so-called blood, but it's a toxin that does it.
Well, dig this. You can see the effects of this going on right now today. What he's talking about is right on the coast of Florida. They are called red blooms, right? They are small little microscopic like algae like animals.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
dig what I'm talking about? And they bloom and they kill. They take the oxygen out of the water. They release a toxin into the water. It kills fish everywhere.
Yep.
You dig what I'm talking about? It kills them. It's going on right now today. We can look this up. Red blooms off the coast of Florida. Blah, blah, blah. Just type it in your Google. You dig
That's
what I'm
just
talking
science.
about?
That's just science right there. So
That's
how
just
come Bible believers?
science.
Yeah. How come Bible believers, if they believe in the Bible so much and they say that the Bible's backed by science, well, how come we've been hearing about them stories for years? You know what I'm saying? Nobody never comes across. Nobody never puts two and two together. And say, hey, well, what animal species is capable of doing this?
My thing is that okay? All right, if that's the case, is it a recurring issue in the Nile? Does it repeatedly happen in the Nile? Because we can look down in Florida, off the coast of Georgia, South Carolina, and this happens regularly. This is a repeating thing. So I'm not saying that Egypt ain't Egypt, Africa ain't Africa. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying maybe many of these stories are older than what we've been told they were, and actually have an even older and Guatamian source. I'm just saying when we get stuff like, let's just say Guadalupe, right? We see Guadalupe is a mix in between Mary, the mother of Jesus, and the American version called Tanis. So when the Spanish met the Aboriginals of America, they took and amalgamated these stories and created Guadalupe. But the older story of Tanis, this virgin who gave birth to a son who was the shiznizzle, you know what I mean, is older in America by a couple thousand years. So I'm just saying, you know, man, it's a lot going on. It's a lot going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
What you hey Lou, what you think about my theory of how the Druk and the Ahuan was reproduced because the Iron already had the Druk and Adamite genetic already in it?
It would just depend on the beast angelic ratio of the DNA.
Mm-hmm.
They already have Druk in them.
Mm-hmm.
It's a set amount of DNA though, so they would have to, in order for them to fall and become a Druk, they would have to have 66% or more of beast DNA. So with that being said, they would have to have
or creep into it, right? Because it don't have to be 66 more. It doesn't have to be more.
No, it doesn't have to be, but we have to be populations that have 66% or more to be Druk level. So with that being said, I would assume
wait. No, I don't think so. I think you can still be lower than 66.6 and still be a Druk. For instance, today, right? Let's look at the modern God. You dig what I'm talking about? Most people have the ability for resurrection and suis, right? And yet, with all this iron genetics and Ahuan and Angui genetics and all this good stuff we got up in us, many of the Gons today are Druk. So maybe they were just Ions who, okay, for instance, like let's say you had an Ion who was living the old way, an ascetic Ion, and a new nigga Ion. You dig what I'm talking about? A more progressive Ion who was Druk. You know what I mean? They would still be ions. They would still, but one would probably be a little more savage. You dig what I'm talking about? Because this fighting and all this stuff came from somewhere. Because when the Ahuans came out, they were smashing day one. You know, day one. They didn't waste no time getting right back to the evil. But they was great builders. They was intelligent. They always talked about the Mah and the Yah, the great people, the Oeklopan, the people of Pan, you know. So could it have been that it was like an ascetic type Ahuan? I mean, iron. You dig what I'm talking about? And because of different breedings, just regular, no special type breeding, just regular iron to iron, certain people link more Adamite or Druk, because remember, these is Adams and angels, the real first Homo sapiens at this time, you know. So could it have been just regular, just breeding, and some of the people linked a little less, and some linked a little more, and then in that produces the Druk again? Because how else could it be that even Druks have iron genetics?
Well, they have to, because they're from the Asawans and the ions.
Come on now.
But their ratio is high enough. They don't have enough angelic DNA to retain. You already know what that is. It's a C gene. So the mutation for that C gene, which I forget is called, is not just a C gene, is that specific mutation that deals with the hippocampus, which deals with memory. They still didn't have a high enough developed hippocampus to retain the spiritual information the ions were giving them. So that's where the ratio of the DNA comes into play.
Facts.
So with that being said, I don't believe, I went back and read the book of Abe. From my understanding, there was firewalls put around Pan and also net. Now, mind you, all this could have been spiritual. I hear what you're saying. I also peeped that it said that the land, the continent rocked to and fro first. And then those specific regions in the atmosphere, the vortex came down in that region and, you know, submerged it. It could have been that the gods prevented the waters from destroying the other continents. The Druks were all over the world, and the Ahuans at one point, and then the Ahuans retrobred, and they're the ones that killed the Ions all over the world. And I would assume that the Ions that were saved were the ones that kept to the faith and then mixed with the Druks. You already had the Ahuans, but that was, they already had retrobred back. And you might have had Ahuans that were with them, you know. So, and that's the difference, because I don't believe everything was like destroyed on earth. And I also look at Genesis chapter 6. I try to correlate it where it says the Nephilim, the fallen ones. So that's what Nephilim means. The Nephilim were the fallen ones. It says they were in the earth in those days before the flood, and also afterwards, after the flood. And then it says the sons of God came into the daughters of men and produced men of renown. These are the Ahuans.
Right.
The Nephilim aren't the product of the sons of God mating with the daughters of men. The daughters of men are the Canaanites. They are Druks. The Nephilim, what the Nephilim are Ahuans that retrobred.
The only problem I would have with that wouldn't be no Canaanites at this time. We talking.
Oh, not Canaanites. I'm talking about Cain. No, I'm talking about Cain.
Oh, you Cain. Okay, Cain.
Like Cain and Abel.
Okay,
Cain, yeah.
Yeah. I get you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, Abel will represent the Iron race, and Cain will represent the Druk race.
Correct.
And Cain rose up against his brother, and that's the Druks rising up against the Ions all over the world, destroying them, only leaving them in Pan. Now there was one that mixed with Druks and Pan, but those ended up becoming like Homo floresiensis and shit like that. Those what those were. Those were like one of the first hybridized, disobedient Ions. You had those little pale, hairy people that lived on Flores Island. That's what that is. And those type of people would have just been around. you know, all the places, like I said, the flooding of Pan affected all continents. I just don't think it affected deep in the continents. Now, we could say that maybe during that time, the Earth was in a Pangea state. I don't know. I don't think so, because it does say when it came out, it was broken, but the Oahspe doesn't give any details about the continents floating away. It makes it seem like the continents were already set. It's just Pan moved from its foundation and rocked to and fro, and it went down. Also, there was a wall of fire around it and a spiritual net. So whatever that wall of fire was, whether it was visible or invisible, only the Etherians could see it. The spiritual realm, I think that wall of fire protected the other continents from what the potential destruction that can cause if you flooding a continent like that. Not saying that your math and shit is off. I'm just saying that maybe they had a way of, you know, just like, you know,
if these motherfuckers could goddamn do all that, I'm sure they could control the waves from not dissipating, you know, fucking up the continents and shit like that.
It's like when you're bringing down, like when your demolition process or whatever, there's a way you gotta demolish, and you know what I mean, it's gonna cause damage, but you clear everybody out and you make sure everything's controlled. When you gotta make sure the building comes straight down, it don't fall to the left or to the right and fuck everything up. You know what I'm saying? So even though Oahspe doesn't get that descriptive about it, I think that's what happened. But there was drugs all over the world, and when the ions went all over the world, they brought civilization to these people. That's why you have stories of, you know, oceanic folk or whatever, or like original tribes talking about, you know, people, ideally pale skin with long beards, flowing beards, coming from the seas and bringing civilization. These would have been the iron. But there had to have been already people there for them to interact with, to have that transfer of knowledge.
Yeah, I the only reason I agree with the it could have possibly held that water in. You dig what I'm talking about? Being the barrier, it was a barrier placed around it. You dig what I'm talking about? I personally, I'll go back and read it. I thought the
when you talk about the part when they landed and they were talking about the drunks and shit, I got the verse up right there.
I'll read it right here. I got it right here in chapter 8, I think.
What you in?
I'm in the book of 8 because that's what's going to get detailed into the flooding.
Right. Because from my understanding, the nets were for the spirits.
Yeah, the nets, but you also had a wall of fire. Now the wall of fire was to keep the false gods and goddesses that were around at that time, that weren't named, to keep them from going to the other continents.
Correct.
The spirits of the other continents. But what I'm saying is that fire wall, even though it was invisible or visible, that could have been what kept the waters controlled.
Yeah, and we know also what happened at that time too was a great rising of the western mountain range from the Rockies, Sierra Madres, all the way down the backbone of South America 25,000 years ago. Now they just, for some reason, sprouted up a couple thousand feet. You dig what I'm saying? So it very well, what I know happened is, just like with a balloon, right? If you press one side, the other side expands. So we see places like America, which during the time of the flooding had an inland sea, right where the Grand Canyon is, Sedona, all the way up to Yellowstone. All that stuff was covered in water 24,000 years ago, or 22,553 BC. That year, it was water east of the Rockies. You dig what I'm talking about? And the Rockies may have been even underwater, and just part of them was above water. So I know, like Africa and the western coast of America, during this time, the Laurentine Ice Age, the land rose. The land rose. So it very well could have been that either some places flooded, because I mean, damn, man, 63 million miles.
No, it's going to affect all the continents, of course. The sea levels
You
obviously.
know, right. But it's
Yeah,
a
sea
lot
levels
of
obviously
water.
rose. And there's islands and little mini island continents that are underwater now near India and stuff like that. That's what I'm saying. But like how the Bible puts it, or some people say like it was all over, like every mountain on the earth was covered by water. You get what I'm saying? Like shit like that. No, I don't believe that shit because then there was
Planet went.
nobody for them to
They're
mix
trying to
with.
describe the planet winning a Neptune and shit.
Yeah, like something like that. So I don't really see it like that. I could be wrong. I just don't look at it like that. But I got it right here.
I don't think the whole planet was death. It was just like you said, it was specifically to the Pacific Ocean.
And I'm not even saying Cosmon is saying that either, because he says something about running to the highest mountains or whatever. I just don't even think it was that deep, you know. But I can read it right here. It's in Genesis chapter 6, in the book of 8, chapter 6.
How dare thee?
Right?
Now go ahead, King.
No, it's funny because Genesis chapter 6 talks about it before the flood, and then you got chapter 6 in the book of 8. So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
And starting in verse 2, it says, and at the end of the Therian column that extended to Shinvat, and you know, Shinvat is the magnetosphere. That's the outermost region of the vortex of the earth.
I would say it's the exosphere.
Well, you look at the magnetosphere. The magnetosphere is right after the exosphere. It can be considered the exosphere. Yeah, it's called the magnetosphere. You can look it up right now. Sayla could put it up.
No. I know. I'm abreast of the magnetosphere. I didn't know it was outside the exosphere.
Oh yeah, the magnetosphere is what shields the Earth from the Earth's vortex. I mean, the Earth's vortex, the sun's vortex, the solar flare.
But science teaches that the magnetosphere is in the atmosphere, though.
It's the outermost.
Let me put up the scripture you're talking
about.
Because
I thought the exosphere was the outermost, and like the Van Allen belt and all that stuff is actually in between. You know,
Oahspe even showed this model right here.
Yeah, so right there, the magnetosphere, the outer edge is the magnetosphere. All that big blue or that big wad that's around the Earth, and then you see the Van Allen, that third picture. You see the third one from the top. You see the Van Allen belts right there, but it's all within the magnetosphere. See.
Click on that. The magnetosphere is in the where the bow shop, where it say bow shop.
Yeah.
That's the exosphere. The magnetosphere is closer towards the Earth. But okay. I get what you're saying. Okay. Go ahead, rock, bro.
So at the end of the Therian column that extended to Shinvat on the border of the vortex of the Earth was made secure by the pressure of your wide heavens. Again, I said, in your strength and wisdom, O Jehovah, I joined the heavens above with the earth below. And the end of the Therian column that extended down to the Earth was made secure around the borders of Waga. By, obviously, for those of you that don't know, Waga is Pan, by the sea and the high mountains.
Right there. Stop right there real quick. Right there. It said by the pressure of ether. Way out here where it say sun, that black part? The ether smashed the tube down into the Earth. That's the great ring of fire right there. You dig what I'm talking about? It smashed it into the Earth. Right then, I believe is when the great ring of fire happened. You dig what I'm talking about? Because it after this, once we go reading, it's gonna say great shakings and fires and volcanoes went off. You dig what I'm talking about? I believe what happened was they literally severed many parts of pond, which wasn't totally covered with water. It wasn't like a island everywhere. It touched places. You know what I mean? And,
so what are you saying? You don't think that the whole continent was submerged? Or you think it was
Huh?
split up and submerged? I said, what are you trying to say, that the whole continent wasn't submerged or was split up, cut up and
Well,
submerged?
Oahspe say the whole continent wasn't submerged. It say it left Japan above the Japan above the water. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is the rest of it, I believe, is basically this outline. And everywhere we see where these blue lines are, those blue lines are mountain ranges. You dig what I'm talking about? That went raised up, and that is also the Pacific Shelf. Where the Pacific Shelf starts and drops down is right where these blue lines are. I believe that might be where we're talking about this tube was smashed into the ground.
And you know they got the underwater monuments on Okinawa, Japan and shit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think Japan was elevated though. Japan was left, like it was cut from it.
Yeah.
Now you have the Oceanic Islands. The Oceanic Islands were a part of Pan. They would never existed the way they are when Pan was there. So now all of
I don't
Pan.
even think some of them were even there. I think they popped up above the water as the ground got pushed down. They went up.
Yeah, or they could have just been the highest mountain peaks to stay.
Yeah.
Hawaii could have been like when Pan was there. You know, Hawaii probably had like snow and shit. You know what I mean? Like Mount Fuji, Mount Fuji in Japan, shit like that. Now they're tropical because they're lower in the tropical region and shit like that. So yeah, and then also you have Antarctica.
No, to back what you're saying is Hawaii sits on the largest mountain in the world. If it was above water, it would be like the Himalayas. It would be just to back up exactly what you were saying.
Hey, look at this shit off the coast of Japan. Look how massive this shit's are.
That's Yonaguni. And I believe a lot of this stuff was left after Pan and it flooded later. I don't believe a lot of this stuff was even there Pan time. This came from the Ahuans later. Now, this is now when I say later, we still talking about the Ark of Noah, all in that time. Remember the Ahuans, Ions, everybody popped back up on the world strong as fuck.
Look how massive these structures are.
Come on, man.
You got another 24,000 years of history, 48 leading up to this joint. So look how massive these structures are. Who can say how big these goddamn drunks? You know what? These niggas was some big motherfuckers, yo.
Yeah, you dig what I'm talking about? My thing is, you couldn't walk it up. You couldn't walk up it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Look how small these niggas is right here.
Yeah, you gotta get some grappling hook.
Imagine this above. This probably the top of a goddamn temple. The rest of that shit buried under the sand beneath.
It is the floor.
Look how massive that shit is.
Come on, man, it's crazy. They got a picture of a turtle down there.
Yeah, I just showed it.
Did you? They got a picture of a turtle. Ain't no way.
But look how look how massive that. Look how big this motherfucker. Look how massive that shit is, yo.
That's petrified, right? That's petrified. It's been petrified in stone, right?
I think it's carved from stone. Now the crazy part is, if it was petrified, that means it got heated up.
You know, there's some archaeologists that try to say that that's what is it? Those are natural structures.
Yeah, he's smoking natural. He's smoking natural crack.
About that shit.
He smoked natural crack. That's all that is.
Watch this.
Erosion of
this. Now this is the Peru ruins at the top of the mountain, right? It's at the top of the mountain, right?
Yeah.
I just imagine this is at the top of Pan. But look what we have here.
Come on, man.
The top of these mountains are the surface level of the ocean.
Come on, man. And if you do the archaeoastrology dating on many of these places, man, they so old. They 30,000 plus years old, older than the flood.
Right. So imagine this being Pan above water. They were the monuments and all that. And then the shit striking, and now it's this.
And this is why I say that it affected the mountains, because we understand that this was a thriving society, that the Inca.
Hold on. Taylor, go back down. Go back, bro. Where you was just at? That stone face you were looking at. No, go back to
you
the.
Peep that, right? You peep.
Yeah, was that off of Japan?
It says Okinawa,
that's Okinawa.
That's an Easter Island fucking. That's an iron.
That's exactly what I said. I was like, hold on, that's going back 25,000 years and shit.
Those are what the joints you see on Easter Island.
Yeah, and those
so
are
what they do?
To their neck up.
So what they doing in Okinawa, Japan, loose shoe?
Yeah, because those are irons. You know what I'm saying? That's what those are.
I believe they're Ahuans.
I don't know about that. I mean, they could be, but if you look, well, they're big. Yeah, their heads are big, but if they took their bodies out of the ground, their bodies are small.
But the bodies was 30 feet, 24 feet. They huge. You dig what I'm talking about? They just buried. So that goes to show that whatever happened at Machu during Pond most likely affected what happened in Machu Picchu. Machu Picchu is 3,000 some miles above sea level. You dig what I'm saying? Because when the Incas, firstly, when the Incas invaded South America, they displaced a people called the Chanca, right? Who were more heavenly melanated, what they say, beastly type people, even though the Incas are melanated too. You dig what I'm talking about? But they displaced them. They warred on the Chanca and got them up out of there. But the Chanca and the Inca both say they didn't build Machu Picchu, that they found it that way. You dig what I'm talking about? So, man, it's some history out here.
Well, there's a lot of lost history.
What?
Just this alone right here.
Look at that. Look at that, bro. Bro, that's on a mountaintop.
Hey, that's what
that's on the top of a guy. Ain't no way.
How the hell you get up there in the first place?
Listen, and the crazy part is the nearest a quarry for this type of rock, which is like 1,100 miles away.
Look at this shit right here, bro. Come on, man. Whoever was living
they
here.
They tried to say them people ain't have pack animals. They said that the South American didn't have pack animals, nothing but the llama. How they do that? Go back up one, bro. Go back up. Up one more. How they do that?
Exactly.
How you do that? How you take that up a mountain 3,000 feet above sea level? And then, first of all, how you transport it, and then how you get it up there.
Look at the gardening, and this is modern time gardening. Just imagine how this shit looked when it was flourishing.
Come on, man. And that's the perfect. They got the perfect environment to do everything.
You remember what? You remember what's his name? Santantes, when they settled on a mountaintop.
Mm-hmm. He said, I see the many generations that's gonna come and go from here. He said, but the copper-colored man is gonna inherit Gautama. The mixed people, the 4 tribes. You dig what I'm talking about? And the crazy part is we gotta stop cutting out looking at other people's history and not applying yourself in there.
Hey, check this out. Look, right quick. Let me just read this right here. And Jehovah caused the angels of Atmosphere to assemble together and organize the first kingdom of heaven of the earth. And the place was called Horeb because it was the place of the first organic abiding place for the first God of this world. Now here's the catch in verse 17. And Horeb was situated over and above the mountains of Aoatin Aguka, how we pronounce that, east of Ul, of that country here after called Pan. And it's giving us a location. So the shit was located above a mountaintop.
Okay.
So we can get an idea like this right here. Like these niggas is above.
Because Pan was preeminent out of all the other continents. You had Pan, you had Jude, which was Asia, and then you had Vohu, which was Africa.
Right.
And I mentioned those three for a little while. So that makes me think that that's where life began in Pan, China, and Africa. And that's besides Pan, because Pan don't exist no more. It's under the water. The oldest fossils are discovered in China and Africa. Supposedly the oldest Homo sapiens were found in China.
Well, that's just the ones they found, because Oahspe don't say that. Oahspe say the knowledge, the Sun Kingdom, you dig what I'm talking about, started in Pan and is just ending in America. You dig what I'm talking about? It went west. The knowledge.
Yeah, I already know that, because knowledge comes, it comes from the east, the civilization, but you don't have
that don't mean it's the oldest people, because Jaja said I didn't make them in pairs. I didn't make them in just one place.
Yeah, no, I was saying the oldest fossils are found within China and Africa.
Yeah, them just the ones they found, because they keep digging up more stuff.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
The crazy thing about that too is that the whole haplogroup is based off of the out of Africa theory, but what about the continent of Pan, the genome of Pan, outside of Pan itself? So what possibly could have been the genome of Pan? And who's to say like that genome don't have a theory like an out of Africa theory coming from Pan?
It do. It's just in Oahspe. They call them Gautama, Yista, Shem, Ham, and Yaphet.
Because if you look at the size of how Pan would have been, it would have been a super continent. It would have been bigger than Africa.
Bigger than 3 Africas.
And then, so it's interesting, because who's to say like the 2 hubs was Pan and Africa as far as primitive man coming about?
Who's to say more likely? Who's to say? I'm just saying. Now we see the oldest stuff, like Louis said, in China, like the megalithic structure. I mean, they so old. The oldest of the oldest buildings that China will let us look at is older than what's in Egypt and whatnot. You dig what I'm talking about? Even the ones here in America, let's just say like pyramids.
Shit, we could go Becky Tepe beat them.
Yeah, go Becky Tepe beat this shit. Quran Tepe beat them all.
Yeah.
Well, that depends on what they allowed to be revealed. China keeps a lot of things on the wrap. They got a lot of history that a lot of the world don't know.
You're right. They got a stone over there that's bigger than the Trilithon stone in Baalbek. It's bigger than it. Who the hell cut this thing? And it's like a big old stone teetering on a smaller stone.
Because you gotta remember, them people over there in China, they're like that. The Chinese Communist Party, they're atheists. They don't want nothing to do with spirituality. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, they destroyed. They got rid of a lot of the knowledge of the prophets and this, that, and the third. So it's like they see anything spiritual, they're probably gonna try to suppress it. I heard there's like mounds out there that they got like on their wraps. They don't let people see.
And the backup is Sila. Stop right there. See the second one down here at the bottom?
This right here.
To the left. Neck right there. This is what they do to the mounds and great temples. They plant trees over them. They hide them on purpose. They plant trees over them, set guards on them. You dig what I'm talking about? To hide from scanners in space. And also they don't let people go into them and do any archaeological works. Backing up what the brother Louis said, man. They hide it. They hide it.
They know that shit is going against what the mainstream academia teaches. You know what I'm saying? So, and then people about control and shit like that. So they don't really. They're not trying to give you any kind of spiritual hope. You know what I mean? Like,
hey, This nigga Osiris was out here laying it down.
Yeah, because see, that's who. Because it really, a lot of that stuff come from the time of Tien, Sugga, and Osiris.
Yeah, facts.
So we talking what, 3,700, 3,500?
Yeah, roughly, yeah. Fourth coming down, fourth millennium.
And Tien would have had it before anybody. Tien would have had it before anybody. Remember that kingship was in Asia and Japhet first, before there was even an Egypt or a Tien or a Sudga or an Ahura.
Remember the pyramids
before Zarathustra, the kingdom was already there. So these are mounds. These are thousands of years even older than them.
Because you remember in the Osirian cycle, the first Osirian cycle, it says the chief among the Osirian cycle were the Japhites and the Shepher kings.
Come on then. You think they didn't know about the stars? Most of these are observatories, and most of these are observatories, and they're also, what they don't understand is their interests. This is how you go. This is how you get to quote unquote Agartha, the underground cities. You got to go in through the holes that the Ions made. And man in later time, he copied it. You dig what I'm talking about? Because they do the same thing. The mound and the pyramid does the exact same thing.
Well, look, we're talking about mounds and pyramids. Y'all remember, ever heard about? Y'all probably heard years ago. What about the face and the pyramids on Mars?
Yeah, I do remember that. Remember they were saying that was Alalu.
What happened? They buried that. They don't even talk about that no more.
What, the face and the pyramids on Mars?
Yeah.
Hey, I remember. Listen to this. I remember Stila had did a video with Tazariak, and Tazariak was trying to say that the Thor and Apollo were Greek deities, right? Now, to debunk that, Godfrey Higgins was a Mason, and he wrote 2 volumes, and Eclipses, in 1883, and he tells you that Thor, Apollo, Hermes, Hercules, Osiris, all those deities were black people. That means in the Oahspe, Apollo, Thor, those are black deities. So they don't know what they're talking about. They lost.
The Etherians? I don't know about the Etherians, but
see, we that's not even our argument about, you know what I mean, what the nationality of the deities are. It's just the fact that they hear those names and associate it with, of course, we all, you know, anybody who first heard that gonna be like, oh, the Greek motherfuckers. I did it the first time I read it too. But then I read the caliber, like, hold on, this is talking something different. And it's talking a time period that is not referencing what we classify as the Apollo and the Thor and all that. So, and
then it goes on to tell you that Apollo is represented all over the world. You have to only just look for his signs. So there's an Apollo in America.
They brought the God. See, being that these gods are not worshipped, what is left behind is their inspiration that they gave us. So, for example, the Thor, Thor. The purpose of Thor was to inspire man to create what we call the petroglyphic system now.
The first writing.
The writing system of symbols, images, earthly images, using that as a system and a way to communicate. That was the purpose of the nigga. You know, Apollo, the fashioning and beautifying the shape of mortals to what we have today. Now, I found that story fascinating because that shows the power of the woman's mind, because it was the woman who molded the child within by observing the perfect sculpture and meditating on that, and it molded the soul. So I'm like, yo, this shit deep.
You know, all that black shit might come from the Cushites, I think, maybe.
Say it again?
I said all that black shit, like how he's bringing up and stuff like that, I think that might have came from the Cushites. Like,
well, the Cushites ain't even African. That's the crazy part. The Cushites migrated to Africa from Harappa. These is northern Indians, you know, a Shemitic people. And to prove why they call them Cush is because they're and they were practicing Buddhists.
So you don't think the Cushites were Hamites?
Huh? No, they were Shemitic. They moved to Ham.
So you think
they worship totally different gods, had a totally different language.
Who you talking about? You talking about Ethiopia?
And the Cush themselves, in their origin stories, say they migrated from the east.
Well, yeah, the Ions penetrated Africa from the east, so their ancestors would have been Ions, obviously. But
well, actually, no, because it also says at a later time the Ions came up out of Ham, and even in the earlier times, you got to remember the tribes of Zerl and Iz and all them was mixed in with the Indians already.
Yeah, so what are we talking, like after the flood or before the flood?
This would have been after the flood.
You talking about the time of the Shepherd Kings when the 10 lost tribes. That's the time of Osiris. You talking about the 10 lost tribes is a mixture of Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and they basically had a melting pot in the land of Persia. So them Dravidians you're talking about would be those people.
They
was already over there though.
No, they would be the forefathers of the Persians, the people who we would later go on to call Phoenicians. You dig what I'm talking about? These would be your admixed people of the East, your Negroes of the East.
And that's a mixture of a stock of the East Indians. Because you got some black East Indians out there. You got the not the Dravidians, but the Sadu, the Rasta looking niggas out there in India.
The CD.
You got a couple of like African feature type of East Indians out there.
And they say the tribes of Iz and Zerl was some of the two first tribes to go over the the lower mountains they called not Himalayas, the northern mountains in India is called well, anyways, they're right below Harappa, next to Susa. Is a mountain range right there, where the Harappian society is. They say they're the first people to go over them mountains and populate that lands and go on to produce the Persian stock, which produces Phoenicians, Israelites, even Sumerians. Later in time, it would be Pakistanis and all your Persian stocks. You did what I'm talking about. But the earliest, they would be Negroidal. That's crazy.
So when Genesis tells you that Cush is from Ham, you think that that's false?
Yes, I believe it's a later telling of a story. By the time the Bible was being put together, you dig what I'm talking about? Cush had already been there thousands of years. So you would think that they were Africans. They looked like Africans. They did African stuff. You dig what I'm talking about? But indeed, they were Cush. Because remember, there's a time. How we know? Remember,
Luamon. So are you basing this Cush off the biblical narrative?
No, I'm asking him if he thinks it's false, because that's what the Bible says. Now I know that's not perfect, but what I'm trying to get to is what would be the reason of, because obviously Levites, which would have been somewhat of Hamitic stock, why do you think they would have lied? The authors that wrote Genesis, which Ezra got primarily a lot of that primarily from Egypt.
Right.
Why would they lie and say that the Cushites were of Ham, not of Shemitic stock?
They didn't lie. They didn't lie. The Cushites were there.
No, but in the Bible, I'm saying Genesis 10, it tells you.
I know what the Bible say. What I'm saying is why they wrote it is because at the time, Osir would have been writing this down, or having Thothma break this stuff down, the Cushitic, which is what they were called, the Cushitic, because they were practicing Zarathustrians, many of them, because they wore the Cushitic. You dig what I'm? The Cushitic is the ceremonial garb of the Zarathustrian priests. So when the Kush tell you that they come from northern India, you kind of believe them. And then we got a story in Oahspe where the people from Buddha under a god named Thoth are migrated into Egypt for hundreds of years. You dig what I'm talking about? And then lose control in 332 when Luamong and Alexander come back and smash Egypt. You gotta remember it was the Kush who was ruling at that time. How did they get rulership? Luamong had to leave. And this is where you get your major Cushitic dynasties entering into Upper and Lower Egypt and ruling for hundreds of years. That was a deal cut between Luamong and Kabbalactus. You dig what I'm talking about? So he wouldn't lose to Baal. And that's backed up in history, you know what I mean, by the Cushitic kings of Egypt. And they were under a god at that time. This is where the rebirth of Thoth worship, him being a god, all that stuff come back in the 600s, 500s, 400s, 300s.
So you suggesting the migration of Luthag, that migration that populated Egypt, which started the dynasty. You saying those were the Cushites?
No. They would have came. They didn't come with them. They come later, but before Bible. Right? They come in the 2000s. These people enter in the 2000s. The Cushitic people have been coming into Egypt since the fall of Harappa. You got to remember, Harappa is a contemporary of Egypt. But
so let's start from the flood. Let's start from the flood. So when the fleets of Ham landed, them 34 fleets of Ham landed in the East Africa, Central Ethiopia, Eritrea, on the coastlines coming in right there. So that's where civilization repopulated 25,000 years coming out of Ethiopia, coming back down what we call Egypt. The ships in India, they would have landed off the coastline and they would have started the migration coming east from India to Pakistan, Afghanistan, Persia. But now, for you to say that the Cushites came back in, that would have had to take place with the 10 lost tribes.
But nah, that couldn't have taken place during the 10 lost tribes because they weren't aware of each other prior to that migration.
No, just using his argument.
No, I'm not saying you're using that. I'm just saying that it can't be before, because them people, when they were in them regions, the migration was because they had no knowledge of each other in them other regions.
Facts. No, so come on down some more. You got to come to the 23rd arc cycle, right? Where they telling you a Shemitic people is coming in around the time Osiris uses the word Adam for the very first time. He writes the doctrines of Genesis and Deuteronomy or Leviticus or whatever it is. Around those times, 2600, these stories are being copied down, and Osiris's is the strongest, right? These are the same time that Lycians are pouring into there. Again, Shemitic people or people who would be aka Hebrew, are pouring into the country. This is pre pyramid.
Yeah,
This
but in
is
the same token, everybody's coming into each other's country at that time, though.
Yup. And because of great droughts, we see what happened to Harappa. Harappa dried up, but Harappa got bombed again too. Remember, at the fall of the Bronze Age, it got bombed again. So we see a people who migrating west. You dig what I'm talking about? It's not to around 600 BC, right? Do we see the great kings from the east move into Egypt, and the Cushitic people, right? The Cushitic people, who many are, or the what we would call Merowan, the Merowan people, come into dominance and rulership around 600. This is where you get your Taharka, all these stories from. You dig what I'm talking about? These is not truly Egyptians. These is a Cushite people or Merowan. You dig what I'm talking about? And they had a whole different everything than everybody else around them.
Okay,
A different language, different everything.
So Nimrod, according to the biblical account, is the son of Cush. And Nimrod set up his kingdoms in Shinar, Akkad, and them places, those civilizations. But that civilization, I should say. Are you saying that Nimrod is Shemitic and not Hamitic?
No, I'm saying Nimrod. Well, first of all, Shinar is in Ham. Mm-hmm. So that killed that. Shinar is in Ham. Harappa, Susa, Suma, all that is in Persia. That's on the whole other side of the Zagros Mountains. They two different continents, two different people. So Nimrod would have been a son of Cush.
Mm-hmm. So would he have been a Shemite?
No, he would have been a Hamite.
Okay, and Cush is a Hamitic or a Shemitic people?
It's a Hamitic people.
Okay, because earlier it sounded like you were saying they were Shemitic.
Listen, the Cushitic come from the east.
Yeah, but they could have been.
What I'm saying, when they're wrote about, they're talked about as if they're African because they've been there a long time.
They could have been if you look at the migrations.
Yeah, what you say? They couldn't have been.
They could have been if there was the migrations. The people who says to say people didn't stay there.
No. It's still black people in northern India.
I know that, but I'm trying to say is they might have had their origins in Africa because there are stories that some of them people
according to the haplogroup, you had the migration out of Africa into Asia. It was a migration. The Grimaldis go back 40,000 years, and they talk about migrating into Europe and stuff like that. But all we got to do is really just put up a map of the haplogroup. It'll give us an example of the genome.
Yeah. I mean, but even then, it would be A and B blood types. Well, actually, no, it wouldn't. The Shemitic people would still have a different type. And the crazy part is, damn, when you look at the blood types, the A, B, O blood types, right? In America, roughly 99% of the people are O blood type. Now, when you go back east, right, there is a place right outside of Bactria, right in middle Persia. You dig what I'm talking about? That outside of the U.S. is the highest for the old blood type. I got that as a matter of fact, I just shared that on my last live when I got into the haplogroups, or a live or two ago. And the show where the old haplogroups, you dig what I'm talking about? And if we say
the Y, what they call the atom, the A00 and the A0, the cosan, this right here in South Africa.
But look, the A00 in its oldest version is found in America from a black man from South Carolina named Albert Perry. He got the oldest version of AOO. The ones that they went down there and found in Cameroon, right, is 11, only 11 in the whole continent, right? And they are variations of later versions of the AOO stock.
Look, it's a Cushite. Cushite haplogroup is E3B1. And it's the brown region right here. But I'm trying to see if oh look, it comes up in the Egypt. Hold up.
And go right. It go where it go.
It go right. And then it go to West Africa too. I'm trying to see if it come up out of Africa. It don't really come up out of Africa though.
So everything coming in.
But what's the we got to figure out which one coming out of Africa.
Look, what I'm saying is everything coming in. Look at the L, look at the J2.
You know who would be good for this? Ngozi. You know Ngozi?
Oh yeah, he's a motherfucking.
Shout out to Ngozi, bro.
He did a debate with Zion Lex, and he was showing where a lot of these civilizations come from these African empires, because I've come across some dudes I heard where they talk about the Maya civilization, the Cushites, and the Cushitic empires or whatever, and you have Cush, and you have Nimrod, and you have Shinar. So it's like, I'm like, all right, I see that. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I even bring up Cush, because of that.
Look where that E3B1 coming from. Look at the blue line going up under. Look, fresh out of H in the Dravidian. See that R2 line going all the way up into Elamo. You dig what I'm talking about? See the blue line coming down into Egypt? That would have been the Lycians. That would have been that Is and Zerl stock. Because remember, they come from the green J2 part. They come down from that L part. You dig what I'm saying? That's where Abram left from Tehran. Abram left out of Tehran. Where he go after Tehran? He went through the desert of Lutz. That's right there in that blue area, in that blue and right where that blue and that green area touch, where it say Elamo. That's the Lutz desert. So you got to come all the way down here, damn near to the Gulf, past the Zagros Mountains to go west. You see all that stuff coming up there through the Persian Gulf and all that? Mm-hmm. Look at that influx of the genetics.
Right there. That's a melting pot right there. That's always been a melting pot right there.
Look at it.
Right where?
That's where at the top
right here
of the Middle East.
Yeah,
but look where it's coming from. Look, it's coming out of L, coming out of H. These blue lines. It's even the E3B1 going straight to Harapha. I mean, to the Dravidians and to the L, to the Elamites. You got to remember the Elamites is Persian and Negroes.
But see, so basically they came out and came back in.
Mm-hmm. They was running from war.
E3B1 hit over here. Now they coming back in. Well, not necessarily.
They come back in. You got to remember, we talking about a time, roughly 3,000 years later, from the time that the early Lycians and all them came re-entered. I ain't talking about the time with Abraham. I'm talking about the time where they wrote about Adam. That's circa 2800. You dig what I'm talking about? 2700, right in there. They inflooded then again. But I'm talking about an even later time, 600 BC, where we see the Cushitic kings rule in Egypt for hundreds of years. That goes down only because of the deal cut between Buddha and Christ. Because remember, Christ, aka Luamong, had control over Egypt.
Yeah, I know that. I'm just more or less interested with the time of Nimrod.
Oh, Nimrod. I think, from my understanding, Nimrod would have been contemporary with Abram.
You remember the verse in the Oahspe showed that in the story of Zarathustra, it mentioned Nimrod.
Yep, yeah, sure did.
But what's funny because they mentioned Nimrod when he went to the land of Japheth, though, which I found interesting.
In Oahspe, they say bring it up again for with the son of Uzzah and Nimrod and all that.
Yeah. I'm a
because Uzzah is in the Bible. Uzzah, you know who Uzzah is in the Bible? Uzzah is the nigga who tripped and stumbled and fell and touched the Ark of the Covenant and died. That's Uzzah. There is some old tales where they say King Og is the nigga who was Abram's helper. What is his name? He got a name, Elimelech.
You talking about King Og? You talking about that giant with the iron battle? You talking about another King Og?
No, I'm talking about that same King Og, right? There's the I don't know if it's Midrash, where it says under a different name. He has a different name, Elima. He was the servant for Abram, right? Yeah. The servant for Abram is Og. This is what they're saying in some of that breakdown I was listening to.
Selah. My bad. Keep going. My bad. I'm telling him keep going. Can you pull up the Ma civilization? Like look on Google or whatever.
What's it called?
Ma MAA civilization.
Well.
This is Madim Ali shit right here. This is what he's been on. Y'all seen his Facebook post. You can keep going, Cosmo. I was just wanted to tell him to bring that up while you were talking. I mean, you know.
Yeah. No. We just building.
No. I just wanted to let him.
Kalima.
So about the Ma Confederacy and the Ma. Supposedly it would have been around when there was the West Sahara.
Damn, that's 4,500 to 4,200 BC. That's Arpalu, West Sahara.
You know, their watch said there was all these kingdoms and stuff like that. I was just reading the book of Atlantis. They had temples in Pan, praising or whatever. So, you know, a lot of history is lost. But this is supposed to be saying that this has something to do with the Cushites. And I know Madim Ali talks about it, and he says that Ham and Shem had a certain an alliance or something like that.
Well, many of them praise the mother deities. You dig what I'm talking about? Ma. In Eastern, they would call it Dia. In Eastern Africa. That mother religion, you know what I mean? Atakali makes sense. Especially if that's the Ma that they talking about, and they still tying it to Indian peoples.
I know Nimrod would have been one of those. Nimrod would have been one of those great Ahuans, some great early Ahuans, because I know he was a hunter-gatherer. Because they say he was a great hunter.
Before the Lord. Now, to my understanding, remember in the Apocrypha, Nimrod throws Abraham in the Apocalypse of Abraham. He throws Abraham in the fire.
Yeah, I know that. You got that story in the back.
So that makes Nimrod a contemporary of Abram. So we know Abram was in 3953 BC. There were great Ahuans still on the planet. Shit, right, even Abram and all them, and the whole Israelites, all of them was Ahuans.
No, you're right. But what I'm trying to say is that if the Nimrod in the Oahspe, same Nimrod in the Bible, then the Bible has to be wrong. It has to be
I
false
found it.
because Zarathustra was before Abraham, and you have Nimrod being mentioned, but the way Nimrod's being mentioned, he's already dead.
All right, check it.
Unless Nimrod's like this, you know, like Osiris was like a crazy name in the heavens, and Nimrod was just, you know, like a prestigious name to have on the earth, and we're dealing with different Nimrods. Because I would agree with you too.
I believe it's more that. I believe it's more that because the king in 22,000 is no less the king in 3,000.
You go ahead, we'll pull that back up, bro. And
So
when
look, Zarathustra apportioned his people into cities, villages, families, but over all of them he appointed Yuseva as chief, one of his companions who came with him from Oahspe. And when Ukasa was established, Zarathustra and his companions traveled further and came to the city of Cairo, kingdom of Abotha, king of 12 generations through his forefathers, whose title was Abotha, son of Uzzah, son of Nimrod, son of the house of Tusain.
So that puts
from before the world was. But it says 12 generations.
That's 396 years or 400 years before the time of Uzzah and Zarathustra. So that puts him back 7,400 BC.
That's before that's the end of the cycle of Osiris.
Yep.
So Nimrod was one of those those hunter-gatherer warrior kings that were with those bullshit priests.
It makes sense because you know Osiris was raising up the warriors. You know what I'm saying? That was the time.
He'd have probably been from Persian Lycian stock, the giant Lycian stock, but he would have been the Persian. Because remember, ain't no difference between a Persian and a Lycian, except one live in the city, one live in the wild. Ain't no difference. So it would seem to me that he would come out of that ancient Ahuan stock out of Persia, a Parsian. You dig what I'm talking about? He would have came out of that stock, but he would have been a for real Persian, a Phoenician. You dig what I'm talking about? A person who comes from the city. You dig what I'm talking about? Because they also accrue to Nimrod, and this is why I know he's Hamitic, is he was the very first person, so it's told, to use hunting dogs and also wild cheetahs to hunt with, just like they do today. They still do this stuff today, right? And the name, and it's slipping my mind, the name of this style of hunting in Eastern Africa lends back to the name Nimrod. You dig what I'm talking about? And that's still going on today. But if Nimrod is 400 years before Zarathustra, that's putting him back 7453 BC.
Mm-hmm.
Shit.
So you're coming on the tail end of the cycle.
Yeah, because I'm trying to correlate the different, you know, traditions in the Bible and what the Oahspe says and what other people say. Like in the Bible, you know, you got Cush. Cush is a son of Ham, and one of Cush's sons is Nimrod. And then when you read the book of Jasher, Nimrod goes in Shinar and establishes Akkad and all these other places. Then you read the book of Jasher, you know, you got same thing, but now you got the animal skins that were taken from Adam and Eve, and Ham steals it from Noah. You know what I'm saying? That was supposed to be the sin. He stole the animal skins that Adam and Eve wore, took them from Noah, then gave it to his son Cush, and Cush gave it to his son Nimrod, these mystical garments and skins. He gave him these powers. You know what I mean?
No, but the crazy part is Canaan already cursed. Before any of this even happened, Canaan already cursed in the Bible.
Oh yeah, he's already cursed according to the...
Now, my thing is this. I think the Bible give us a hint that ain't none of this shit, none of them people are actually real, right?
Well, you remember Oahspe sprinkled a little bit of truth with a little bit of falsehood.
Yeah, and I believe that in the verse Selah show where it says and Eber in the or Peleg, Eber and Peleg, that in the time of Peleg the world was divided. I believe that that's hinting that Peleg, just like aka Noah or Apollo, are in a sense times and not men at all. You dig what I'm talking about? Now, in the lost books of King Og says Nimrod is real. He says that shit, he looked up to Nimrod. And that in his time, right, people outside of the plains of Shinar. Now, mind you, Shinar goes all the way into Europe. It starts in the Middle East, right? But that's only the eastern half. There's a western half on the other side of the Caucasus, right? That's all the plain of Shinar. And Og ruled one side, and Nimrod ruled the other. What he says is that whole Nephilim thing, to clear up the whole Nephilim, he says that the giant Ahuans called themselves Raphaim. So every giant Ahuan is a Raphaim. He's saying that the Nephilim, or why they call them fallen, and why his name is Nimrod now, because that wasn't his name. Why they call him Nimrod is because, and why Nimrod equates to stupid, is because he circumcised his group of Ahuans. At that point, these Raphaim, who circumcised themselves, became fallen, or Nephilim. So every Nephilim is a man. Every Raphaim is a man. He's just a giant Ahuan. And the only difference between them is one circumcised himself and one didn't. Now, they also say that at this time, now, if we're thinking about it, 7400 BC, now that we didn't put it together, right, that Og found people on the other side of the mountains that he didn't know was there. And he corralled them, built them cities, and they ate them. You dig what I'm talking about? So just like we would raise chickens in a chicken coop, they say they created cities to corral men. And they sacrificed the babies and ate, you know what I mean, and ate the men. And the women were the priestesses. But he's talking at a time pre-flood. But then he goes on and tells a time about him going against Abraham after they built Baalbek and moved into Bashan. This is a later time that they move into Bashan. And this is at the point where they say Og is a worker or a servant for Abraham. You know what I mean? Just to put them stories together, you dig what I'm talking about? Going back on Nimrod, man. Hey, anybody want to learn about Nimrod? I got like a 4 or 5 part series. If you go back to the early parts of the Jehovah Chronicles, go back, look at my Nimrod. I brought out the Lost Books of King Og. I brought out the Lost Books of Lamech.
Yeah, he was going in.
Lost Books of Lamech. I tie it into the Great Cataclysm of the Laurentine. You dig what I'm talking about? Remember, shit, it's a story where Og say during the flood, he held on to the side of the ark. So now that we know that that's bullshit, you dig what I'm talking about? How is it that the giant Raphaim exists before and after the flood. So this go back to lend credence to what my boy Louis is saying, that it was some of these niggas that didn't die. And now he didn't said it. I'm going back to the ancient American stories about the ant people. Remember, they said after a great cataclysm, the people came up out of the ground. There are some people, there are stories in Iran where with the great god Yama, where he hid the people in these caves in the ground to stop them from, some books say a flood, and some say a great freezing, and both of them could have happened. Both of them could have actually happened, because when you dump all that ether into the earth down in that tube, you did what I'm talking about, you instantly go into an ice age.
Yeah, so the book of Jasher, right, goes like pretty deep into Nimrod. I was reading that recently, and I thought it was pretty interesting that in the book of Jasher, when it was talking about Nimrod, one of the things after he got those garments and he became a hunter, that he had to help his brothers, those Bush, supposedly, fight against the Japhites. Supposedly they were under the power of the Japhites.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. I do remember that.
And that time he came into power.
Remember, there's a
hey, you know what? I gotta get ready to boogie, son.
Yeah.
I gotta make a play. We've been on here 3 hours and shit.
Chopping it up heavy.
Yeah, you already know. Yeah, I gotta make some plays and shit. I got a damn casting call tomorrow. I got motherfuckers hitting me up. I'm supposed to link up with them, go over it for tomorrow and shit.
Y'all check out that thing on Nimrod, man. I got a thing for giants, man. That's one of my sweet spots. You dig what I'm saying? So I broke down the book of Jasher in there too. You dig what I'm talking about? So it might be worth going to look at, Lou. You dig what I'm talking about? I showed some breakdown and had it, the reading and all that stuff. It's just interesting that we have him telling Nimrod, them telling stories of Nimrod pre-flood, and then they have stories of Nimrod battling Abraham and all this stuff. And then in between there, we have the 400,000 giant war, the Gigantomachy. You dig what I'm talking about? So, man, I think this stuff is written down and remembered in history. It's just fragmented. And, Oahspe is just decoding stuff and bringing it all together, man. So,
Yeah, I'm going to check it out.
Yeah, check it out, bro. It's worth it. Because if you haven't been in the Lost Books of King Og, it's going to blow your mind.
Yeah, I'm going to look that up right now. I'm going to let y'all go. All right, Taylor, you do your thing, bro. Appreciate you having me on.
Always. Yeah. We about to sign out, man. I'm about to get ready to boogie woogie, King. You know what I mean?
Peace to the righteous gods, man. Hey, breathe in. Let that light in, homeboy. You dig what I'm talking about? You know what I mean? Cosmonian, man. Y'all gonna hit that link, man. Throw some thumbs up on this video. And I'm out this thing.
Salute to the God, man.
Peace.
So yeah, family, you know what I mean? You know how we do. Another show, we get it in, you know what I'm saying? So topic of discussion today was cursed be Canaan in the Hebrew language. And we went in on that, showed and proved how according to the scriptures, you follow in the cursed people's language. And with that, your boy Silah Shalom is out of here. Until next time, when I go live. Maybe later on, you never know. Salute. It's a blood clot,